Hello to anyone who's here. Hello to anyone who is watching this VOD later on YouTube or Twitch. I am Noverb. I'm here with Apple Chips, Lord Perth, and Stormguard, all people of great renown in their own way. Apple Chips, you're still the reigning world champion, right? Does
Yep.
that technically belong to Alex Fierro now that they won the
Depends
TNT
how,
World
depends how
Championships?
you think about it. Yeah.
Lord Perth is a co-host to the Team Not Tavrod events and also has done very well in peasant tournaments in the past. And Stormguard is a member of our own team on Peasant Eternal and has helped write previous primers and articles for the format. So today we're going to be talking about the new Eternal set battle lines from a perspective of Peasant Constructed. And the first card that we're going to go over is part of a cycle of powers, and these are the marks, with Mark of the Grove as a fire power that when you play it, you may pay one, I assume, power or to gain
Mhm.
a time or a primal. So this is an undepleted fire power that sometimes can have something like another color when you have that extra resource. The undepleted part about it is sweet.
Yeah. These are just like the most powerful sigils we've ever had. They're not actually sigils,
Right.
but they're effectively sigils, like in every other way besides being actual.
So do you see these getting played in two color decks or only in like 3+ color decks? Yeah.
No, you're playing them in two color decks too. Yeah.
I wonder how
You're,
many decks will play them in monocolor decks to try to get like the secondary sigil or the secondary influence type of cards that care about it. There are a few cards that have like an influence requirement as part of the additional abilities. I know there's that 5 mana Dark Return that if you have double primal will give it flying. I
sure.
think right, like stuff like that. And I wonder
Yeah, I
how much
think
of those get played because of it.
I think most of those cards need a fair amount of influence though, so in just monofaction with only the marks, I don't think you get there. But if
Yeah.
you play additional dual powers like some banners or paintings, then you could get there. But then you can also just play two factions.
Sure. I mean, with insignias at the very least, it's quite easy. Banners and paintings, yeah, there's a cost to it, right?
Yeah. Also, notably, these interact favorably with insignias in two color decks. So they don't.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
they
they're
don't turn
just
them off.
Yeah, they're just monofaction powers.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So
That is very good to note. There are a few cards in this set so far that have some little riders on it that aren't exactly obvious, but I think these are very playable, and you will see them getting played next weekend.
oh yeah, I think these are fair to. I think it's fair to call these format defining.
Oh
They're
yeah.
just so yeah. I think they're gonna be played in every single deck, unless they're monofaction. I think they're that good. We might even see 4 and 5 color decks because of them. Like they're the best power I think in the game. Period. Like not even just peasant.
Yeah,
Okay.
Alex Fierro will definitely be happy.
Yeah, so they're
Actually,
really
our
good.
league.
All right. Well, you heard it there. Next, we have Aerial Suppression. This is a 1 cost, 1 fire spell, not a fast spell. Deal 2 damage to an enemy unit, double damage while you have a unit with flying. I know that Apple Chips, you were playing a FGS Valkyrie list for a while before you went on to just dual factions in testing, but like, how good is this? Is this something that it's going to spawn like a Skycrag Flyers deck?
It's a really really strong card, and it'll get even stronger if there's no mandrakes around because it's just so efficient, and it also asks you to do something that kind of want to do anyways, is just put flyers in your deck. So yeah, I think this card is like throne playable in power level. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really good here in Peasant as well. That's my opinion on it for
Yeah,
sure.
I think
So, go ahead.
uh, I think at first glance, I don't necessarily even think you have to be a dedicated flyers deck per se, although that might be helpful because of the rise of Nomad, right? Because all of your Nomad units will just incidentally have what's the first flight on your turn, and
Mm.
since this is a slow speed spell, it's not as if you're going to be playing this on the enemy turn anyway. So I think that it's going to see it could possibly I'm not saying going to because it still doesn't go face, but it could definitely see play outside of dedicated flyer decks, although that is of course first port of call.
Right. Like the Nomad cards are going to be interesting as well. There's a few good Fire Flyers that we already know of, like the one with Berserk that can plunder, and then we're getting that weird squirrel thing as well in Fire Primal. So there might be some kind of like Fire Primal, even maybe a dragon themed deck that could use this as well. It's it's solid. I'm sad that it doesn't go face. Is my biggest regret here, especially with how much relic weapons are coming around. But there's also a lot of attachment removal in the format as a whole, so that may not be an issue.
I think the main question with the card is how much better is dealing 4 than 3. I think the main point is that it kills West. Like,
Yeah.
other than that, I think most important things also die to Torch or Ignite. And on Nomad, I think there are only like 3 or 4 Nomad cards that I would consider playable, so I'm not sure how much that really helps the card. But as you just said, there are some dragons that are playable, some other new flyers, and of course FG's Valkyries will definitely play it.
Yeah. All right. So I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, I'm not sure I would call it format defining or even a staple. It's probably more of like closer to like a linchpin card. It's gonna see play in like a couple of decks and be really, really, really good in those decks. But yeah, you can't just put it in any deck. You do have to have the flyers or Nomad or some way for sure.
Yeah, so it's definitely like a niche removal spell. And every deck has them, right? Like the Unseen deck has Vara's favor, or not Vara's favor, Vara's intervention that
Yep.
only really Unseen plays, but it's very good in that deck. So it's a card similar to this.
I think it's gonna be wider than that card, but yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next card, which is Youngblood Trapper. It is a one cost, one red, or one fire, 1/1. It's an exile, and it has Summon Hunt 1. And this is the card. It has words on it. Do we have enough Hunt triggers and Hunt like payoff now that it actually matters that it's a 1/1 for one with Hunt? Is it really good because it's either a one cost 2/2 or it's a one cost 1/1 that was free? Like, is this actually good or is this just uh, okay?
I have it as like a card with potential. I don't think it's like quite good enough to be a staple. Like, I think Fire Aggro doesn't want it. They're just better one drops because Zero Mana 1/1 isn't that good in Fire Aggro. 2/2 would be good, but you don't get it every time. But of course, you have to keep in mind that Hunt helps with Devour, so I could see it in some deck that wants to like hunt cards early to then play powerful Devour cards like the Feln 3-cost flyer that we will see later.
Thinking about it now, this is a randomly good card in the deck that wants to play Red High Roller because if you hit the power, it is 2 cards.
Most of the time, you will not hit the power though. It's like about 1/3, roughly.
And
Just for reference on like how most of the time this is gonna be a 1-mana 2/2.
And I played High Roller at the last Peasant tournament, and the space was already very tight. Like, I already had to cut very good cards. Like, this is definitely not better than Grenadine Drawn, for example, in the deck.
Sure, sure.
And Grenadine Drawn is already one of the cards that I would consider cutting over other cards. So
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so very very niche. It's a good card on paper, but it's coming out in whatever number set this is and not set like 1, 2, or 3. If this was 3 years ago, then maybe. 5 years? I don't even. How long has Eternal been out at this point?
7 years.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel that long.
definitely really niche for sure. At best, it might just be unplayable.
Maybe. The bar is so high for commons and uncommons at this point. Let's move
Yeah.
on. So we've got a 2-cost fire in Eager Youth. It is a 2/1 Oni Exile, and it has summon, reduce the cost of the top unit of your deck by 2. I've got a few cool notes for this. One, the summoning the top card, all of that text is really good with the new ability that is kind of like Cascade. What is it called? It is Recruit. Okay, we haven't gotten to one yet, so I just didn't have the name in my head. So reducing the top card of your deck can potentially make your recruits more online to hit each other. It's an Oni, which is a relevant creature type in this game. Onis are already, I don't want to say tier 1, but they're on the fringe of being a playable aggressive deck because they just have an engine and they have aggressive stats. It's just a matter of the fact that you're playing less than amazing cards some of the times just to get the synergies working. What do you guys think of this one?
As you mentioned, there's the Oni's deck, but I'm not sure how much that adds to Oni's necessarily, because all your cards are already fairly cheap. I am much more looking at this in terms of the recruit deck. So with this and Magnificent Stranger, potentially reduce the cost of cards on top. If there is a cost reduction based recruit deck, I could mostly see it in FTP, just because Primal, besides having some recruit units, also allows for a bit of card manipulation. So you can, this perhaps with Second Sight, could give you the opportunity to essentially play freer units with your recruit card. Whether that is all worth the setup in the end, not sure, but I think that is something that could be worth exploring.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that as you say Second Sight, I am now thinking of what if this goes with Mag Stranger with some kind of Echo deck and just adds to the number of ways you can make cards cost less, which we don't have a ton of in this format.
Yeah, it's.
What's up?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, we have a musket in Peasant now.
We do.
But this is actually, I think this is better because this only works on units, which might seem like it would be worse because
Yeah.
it hits less cards, but it hits specific cards now, more specific cards. So you can build around it a little bit more, and you're getting it on a unit, which is a much higher floor than a 2/1 weapon for most decks, I would say.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, it's got a relevant creature type. It's got a relevant ability given the set it's coming out with. It seems fine. I don't know if this is going to be format defining, but it is definitely a card that will let you brew more, which is always a good thing to see in the format.
yeah.
I'm also always looking for cards that make the big bunny cheaper, the 7-cost 8.
We have more bunnies now.
Yeah, we have
A
more
lot
bunnies now.
more.
Also.
Yeah.
All right, let's get closer to the bunny then, shall we? The next one we have is Hive Lantern. It is a 2-cost, 1 fire, 2/1 Oni Explorer, and it has Nomad. Nomad is one of the new battle skills. It is a battle skill, right? It gives it flying while it's your turn, and it gives it +X while it is your opponent's turn. And I assume if X is 0, it's just +1/+1. Or is it 0/0? Is there Nomad 1?
No, Nomad 1 means it gets +1/+1. I don't think there's Nomad 0 outside of the time weapon. And there's Nomad 2.
So Nomad
Yeah.
with no number after it is just +0/+0 on their turn?
I
It's
think
just
so, but
flying on your turn.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
what this is?
Yeah.
This is Nomad 1, so it's
Yeah.
a 3/2 on their. It's a 3/2 on their turn. It's a
Oh.
2/1 on your turn.
Okay. So it just assumes
Yeah.
the 1 when it doesn't have a 1 after it. Okay.
This is Nomad 1.
Hive Lantern just says Nomad on the picture that I have.
Oh, well, in client it says Nomad 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then the pictures that I have received aren't up to snuff, it seems. I apologize. This card seems medium and like draft chaff. I don't think we're going to see this in the format.
Yeah,
It's
this
just way
is-
worse than Stonehammer, for example.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
for sure.
it's just a draft common. Like, it's actually a solid draft common, but yeah, not for Peasant.
It's an Oni with flying. I will give it that much.
It is an Oni with flying.
So if your Oni deck wants flyers, here you go. Alright, let's move on now. Now we have the first recruiter. This is Calm Instructor, which is doing nothing but being calm. It is 3 double fire for a 2/1. It is an exile, so not a relevant creature type. It has charge and summon recruit. What recruit does is it looks at the top 5 cards, I believe. It finds a unit. If the unit is less cost than it plays the unit. If it's not, it goes to your hand. So at worst, it is a 3-cost 2/1 with charge that draws a unit from the top 5. At best, you're getting a 2 or 1 drop as well.
Yep, and you get to pick between if you see multiple units in the top 5.
So you get to pick between playing a 2-drop or drawing a 5-drop kind of thing as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which-
this is
So this Bloodbright Elf is gonna see some play. This is, I'm pretty sure, the best one that we've seen for the recruits.
This is the first one.
Well, it was the first one that we saw, but like this is the best one that we're gonna see, I think, as far as looking over the whole set.
In Peasant, I think so.
Probably.
the next
Yeah.
best is the Druid of the Sense, I think. Other than that, it's mostly draft draft. Oh, but even the draft recruits are good in Peasant, or at least have potential. And this
Yeah,
is
like-
like drone playable good.
Like, I've played enough casual Magic to know
Oh.
that even the worst Cascade cards are good cards.
Mm.
So I can assume that even the worst recruit cards are good cards.
I think there's another one in Primal that's also arguably as good,
Okay.
or maybe even better. So we'll see.
So I don't know what the fire decks or aggressive decks are going to look like post this set, because recruit is just going to change the way we think about aggressive decks in general. And then fire already had so many good cards. It's very interesting to see what people are going to bring coming next week. But overall, I think this card's great. I don't-
One important. Oh, sorry.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. One important thing to mention here when we talk about fire aggro is that Vinecrafter will be banned, and this card is a lot better if there's no Vinecrafter.
That's true. So I guess a few things that I didn't mention at the start of the video is that we have a tournament next week. It is Peasant. It is on Saturday the 28th. And Vinecrafter will be banned for this one. And this set will be legal. So we're getting to see some mixing up of the format from Vinecrafter not being in there anymore, as well as seeing a whole new set. So there's going to be a lot of things changing up. And aggro is going to be a whole lot better as a whole. So aside from this being a like format staple, I'm going to assume. Any other notes, guys?
Yeah, I would say it's a staple for
I
aggressive
think-
decks.
I guess while we're on the topic of recruit, right? I think there's very few ways that recruit can potentially go wrong. Mainly because even if you don't like get to play the unit, you still get to draw a card, which is just fine.
Even if you
Um,
don't draw a card, I think a 3-mana 2/1 is about par for like a medium unit. Like it's not like you're significantly underpaying. Like if it didn't have charge, which was a 3-mana 2/1 period, I'd be a little bit less high on it. But it's still a charge unit, which is going to get in some damage no matter what. So the worst case scenario is still not that low.
Yeah, I think it's just solid. But in terms of is there a way to build a dedicated recruit strategy, so to speak? I just don't think because I did briefly mention this with the youth. I don't know if you have all the pieces at least at this rarity. Simply because you don't have enough good inspire cards. The two I don't remember the name. The 2-cost double time 2/2 that
Yeah.
gives all units +1/+1. That's probably the best payoff, at least in Peasant. But I'm not sure if you have all the tools to necessarily build this one. Co-Constructor is fine because you're trying to play fairly aggressive. You still get a card out of it, which refill your hand. Or just contribute more to the board, which is exactly what Fire Aggro is looking to play as. But I think, as you very acutely mentioned, if the fail case is still real possibility, given some textures of decks, and I think that it needs to be at least playable. And I think we will stumble upon some recruit cards that on their base are not good enough. Like, just not good enough at all if you whiff. And those are definitely I wouldn't say unplayable, but I would not want to play them.
Like, you can see the difference
Yeah.
of this being an uncommon versus the common ones that we've gotten, and we'll see that in a few cards.
Yeah. So I think it's a solid mechanic, but I think if we're comparing it straight to Cascade, I suppose the opportunity to whiff means that in terms of its application, it's not, say, like universally good, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a much different point with Cascade, though, is that like this does have that scenario where you're drawing cards as well. Where Cascade, if you somehow build your deck incorrectly or you run out of cards that cost less, it just doesn't have the extra ability. But they were really trying to temper Cascade because Cascade is an unreasonable ability.
Overall, I think this is better than Cascade. Well, if you're using it like in a somewhat fair way.
Yeah.
Like,
So
obviously, if you're
right.
cheating in Modern to like play 0-cost suspend spells, that's a different story. But if you're actually trying to use it like a real mechanic, I think it's actually stronger overall.
People don't do that.
So, yeah, for some context, like math context, if you have 27 units in your deck, you're 90.5% to hit. If you have 30 units in your deck, you're 93.2% to hit. If you have 33 units in your deck, you're 95.3% to hit. If you have 37 units in your deck, you're 97% to hit. So if you play enough units, you're almost guaranteed not to whiff, like in most of your games. And I think in aggressive decks, you're gonna want to play over 32 units anyways, maybe even 36. So like just without even taking recruit into account. So you're not even really paying a deck building cost there. Obviously, it's going to want you to lower your curve a little bit, but you also want to do that anyways in aggressive decks.
This is going to warp the format a little bit in the fact that I think people are going to be playing Lightning Storm and Sorcerer's Choice at a much higher frequency because it hits those cards so hard.
Yeah, because Cross doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Like, I was already a big fan of Sorcerer's Choice, but I think Lightning Storm is going to get played as well.
I will say that the Nomad cards are pretty good against Lightning Storm.
It's true. if those see play, it's true.
And I think a couple might see play coming up here.
All right, let's move on to the next card then. Next, we have a Nomad card. Wow, Apple Ships. It's like you just knew it was coming. The next one is Enraged Drone. It is 3 and a fire for a 2/2 insect. It has Nomad. And summon, play a Fire Honey. Anybody know what Fire Honey does?
Fire Honey is great.
It is a 2-cost relic, and you can pay 2 to sacrifice it to deal 2 damage
to an enemy, not just a unit. It damages either the player or the unit. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first thing to mention, I think, is just West. Like, all of those honey cards theoretically can trigger West, which is very nice.
Yeah.
And this is one of the better honey cards in the set. Probably the best in Peasant, I think, if I'm not forgetting any of them. Because the fire honey is the best honey, I think, because it can kill stuff. The other one have a minor effect.
Yeah.
And
like,
it's just a decent trade. Like, 3 mana, 2/2 flying on your turn, 3 on the opponent's turn is not that bad.
I was already a fan of Blitzstone, so Fire Honey is very similar to that, in that it's like a 2 mana deal damage something that will trigger relics going to the discard pile for things like West, or there's another Valkyrie that is like 4 cost fire shadow 1/4 that once a attachment goes to your void it becomes a 4/4 with like flying and deadly or something.
It's a 2/4, and yeah, it becomes a 5/4. Yeah.
2/4 becomes a 5/4. Okay. So
Yep, and it gets charge and dead. Yeah, it gets
charge deadly, and it already had flying, or it doesn't.
It has deadly, and it gains flying and charge.
There you go.
it's
It's
a
keyword soup. Yeah.
It's Stone Scar for single pip.
Yeah. Yeah. So that might be more of a thing now. There might be more of a small relics matter deck. There's a lot of cards in the set that care about relics, and there were already cards that cared about relics that existed. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some kind of Fire Justice Time or Fire Justice deck that just wants you to play small relics. Overall, like it also just seems really good with what is that card? Watchwing support or yeah. If you needed more reasons to play that card.
Yeah, I really like this card. I think it's really good. I think just if you just look at the card and just forget like synergy completely, I think it's just a good card. Like I think like dealing 2 in Peasant is going to be a 2-for-1 like most of the time. Like most decks have to play stuff that has 2 or less health, and especially with Vine Grafter being gone. I say that a lot.
And it's such a 3/3 on your opponent's turn, so they can't use their Fire Honey on it, and they can't use, as you said, the Lightning Storm. But that's why you play Sorcerer's Choice, because you could do it on their turn.
Sure.
One last important relic payoff to mention is Red Cage. I don't think we mentioned it yet.
Oh yeah, that's
like a lot of those cards trigger Red Cage.
Start playing
Rat Cage.
Rat Cage. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna go there too. Yeah, like that's without synergy. But then there's Rat Cage. There's relic sack cards. Like there's tons of relic. Like I think, like the one that the shadow kill spell. Like that's in the format, I believe. And that deck is like, it's like really close to being like tier 1. Like it might have already be tier 1. It's really good.
I mean, it's top 8'd almost every single tournament that it's played in.
Yeah, like it's a totally real strategy. So I think these cards are gonna make it even better.
Yeah. All right. Next we have Lantern's Map. This is a 3-cost relic that is 1 fire pip. When one of your units hits the enemy player, sacrifice Lantern's Map to draw 2 cards. Going back to the whole relic matter might be a thing. This seems okay. If you want your draw spell to specifically be a relic, it seems okay. The unfortunate thing is that it seems like a harder thing to trigger on average than the blue one that where when you sack it you draw 3 cards, because it doesn't do anything on its own.
Yeah, this is very specifically a Red Cage card. I think if you have like Red Cage early on and then you play this, get another red, then you can maybe get the triggers outside of like exactly Red Cage. I don't see this. Because as we said, recruit means in your unit-based decks, in your Archon mid-range decks, you want as many units as possible. This is not a unit and it's not better than a lot of other spells, so outside of Red Cage I don't see it.
If there was like some kind of way that you could just pay 2 to sacrifice to draw 2 cards anyway, then I'd be down for it. Or if it just said the whole when one of your units hits enemy player, sacrifice this, and then separate line Entomb draw 2 cards. Like if it just had those separate and I could do something else to draw the 2 cards, then it would be playable. I don't think this as it is good enough.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it's pretty weak. I mean, it's it's really tough for all the reasons that everyone's yeah.
All right, next then.
Which is, yeah.
Next is Liquid Flame. This card is sweet. It is a 3-cost fire pip, regular spell, not fast. Deal 3 damage to an enemy. Play a fire honey. So this is an instance of you're paying 3 for 3, then you're paying 2 for 2. And 1, it triggers muster.
Yes.
And I will forever look at cards. I'm just like, oh, this triggers muster. I can draw 2 cards off of Green Stretch Empath.
True.
And this card's pretty sweet. Like you're paying on rate for 2 sets of damage, so you can do 1 set here, 1 set there, and it's not like you're paying an abysmal rate for it. It's 3 for 3, 2 for 2.
Yeah.
I think I could see this. My first inclination was actually Skycrack Control. Just because I'm not sure if the aggro decks want this at slow speed. On rate burn it's fine, but I think it's more for decks that want to take advantage of like 2-for-1s, I think. So my first thought was Skycrack Control from last format. Other than that, I'm not sure if there really is a more defensive
So
fire deck off the top of my head.
I think this goes in Skycrack Control for that reason, but also the fact that it gives you a Fire Honey, which is randomly relevant against that 1-cost market card that Shadow decks play that caused the opponent to sacrifice a relic. And Skycrack normally doesn't play any other relics other than their tomb. So having like an extra relic just sitting around so that you can sacrifice it instead of tomb if they like pop your Aegis, pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I also have to say that this triggers Watchman support.
And Rat Cage.
And Rat Cage.
Coming back to the Skycrack control point with Tomb, this means usually when I play the deck, especially against like a deck that has sacrifice a relic effect, you would just try to draw the game out and then only play the Tomb when you can activate the ultimate immediately. But with a card like this, you can sometimes play the Tomb more aggressively now. And
it's 2 sources of damage for the Tomb, right? Like it's 2 trigger loots.
Yeah. And playing Tomb aggressively really is important in some matchups, like against FGS Revenge, for example. You're just not fast enough if you have to wait until turn 10 to play Tomb and then immediately ultimate. You're not getting to 10 power against the deck.
Or so, even if you are, they've gained 50 life.
Yeah.
Because, all other things have life steal. Alright, so that was Liquid Flame. Next is Pouncing Predator, and we get to introduce our next keyword for the set. It is a 3-cost, 1 fire pip cat. Not relevant. 3/2. It has Devour 2, deal 1 damage. Does anybody want to explain what Devour does?
Sure. Devour is a mechanic where it's very weird, but you remove cards from your opponent's void from the game. You don't give them void bound. They're just gone. Like they're exiled like from Magic, which is weird. You can't get rid of void bound cards. That's one important note. And if your opponent has a face Aegis, it will just pop the face Aegis and do nothing. And then, so if you do successfully manage to get rid of the number of cards that it says, so like this card says Devour 2, that means you're going to remove the top 2 cards of their void to get the effect it says. And this one says Deal 1. So you play it. It's optional also. Like, so you don't have to do it. You can choose not to do it if you don't want to. But yeah, if they have 2 cards in their void or more, you can remove those top 2 cards. They're just gone, and then you get to do the thing.
So it's worth noting that one, we found out earlier from testing that it needs the target. So in this case, dealing 1 damage is super easy to have a target for. You can just target their face. In other scenarios, if there is not a target, you cannot devour, and in a lot of cases, the devour in this format is way more important than whatever comes after the colon. Generally, there's a lot of very good void-based strategies, and this is allowing void hate in all the colors. Or is it just fire, primal, shadow? 2 more colors than normal? Okay. So in more colors than was previous, and that's what I've been asking for a long time. The downside is you have to have the number of cards required in order to do the ability at all. So in this case, this Devour 2, which is a very simple cost, they have to have 2 cards in their Void that don't have Void Bound to remove from the game. However, if it was Devour 5, they have to have 5 cards to devour any cards. You can't be like, oh, well, I don't care if the ability goes off, I just want these 3 cards gone. You have to have the requirement met before anything happens.
Yeah. And like I did mention it before, like it's the top cards. So the cards that were put in there most recently, you don't get to pick which cards if there's, more cards than the Devour you're doing. That's also important, but yeah.
There's a lot of weird riders to this ability.
Yeah, I don't really know why they didn't make it give Void Bound. Like, there are some implications that matter, but
I mean,
yeah.
I like it. I appreciate it from the Skycrag outlook of, hey, cool, now Skycrag control has to really work for keeping that Aegis, because any of my random Devour cards are just starting to eat into your discard pile and you can't tomb me.
One important thing to mention is also that in contrast to Hunt, you can react to Devour. So you can use fast speed recursion spells like Immortalize or Display of Ambition to play around it a bit. Like if the Devour would eat units that you want to get, you can keep up the Display of Ambition, chain it to the Devour effect and get those units back, which is very important for the FJ's Revenge deck.
Yep.
Also, notably, you can protect your units that way, but if you take enough cards out of your Void to where their Devour is now like over the amount of cards in your Void, it just negates it. Like, it just doesn't do anything. So there's a little bit of trickiness. So Through the Unknown and Display of Ambition are a little bit better than they used to be, even though they were great.
So aside from the ability itself, how playable is this card? Or is it playable just because of the ability itself? Like, is it good enough from the straight fact that it helps with the removing of their discard pile?
I don't think this one is. And I expect a lot less mandrakes without Vinegrafter. So, yeah. As well. So that also makes it like less. But yeah, this one in particular I don't think is great.
Kind of weird because it looks like a fire aggro card, but it's mostly good against fire aggro because it kills like only Ronin, Common Structure, Passionate Stonehammer, like all that stuff. But against other decks, it doesn't really kill a lot of stuff, so I'm not really sure where it would be played.
It's part of that Fire Justice mid-range deck we were talking about.
I mean, maybe in Recruit, because Recruit doesn't really have a lot of room for spells and relics, so you need interaction in other ways, and this is kind of interaction.
Maybe.
But even there, I think you have better options. Like just play killer units or units that silence or stuff like that.
Okay. Let's move on to...
I think as we come to see, we will have significantly more powerful Devour effects. Like, D1 damage, as you said, almost, like, I can't imagine it not having a target. But it is a very, very minor effect. I mean, we see this effect on 0-cost spells, right? So...
Yeah, I would be playing this more for the fact that it is devouring than it is dealing 1 damage. But it's a weird thing of like, do you value a 3-mana 3/2, which is not a terrible rate, it's a little bit under where I want to be, but come into play, remove 2 cards from the discard pile, which Could help with show stirrings, could help with revenge if you catch them off guard, could help with your Skycrag matchup where they're trying to like do weird stuff, or the Argenport deck that waits until turn 7 to be able to get back their 2 cards off of the Argenport blueprints.
So I think the problem with this card is, let's say that's the case, and you're actually just playing it for the Devour. I think this card is actually still doesn't work because it only devours 2. There's a lot there are a lot more cards that devour much more. So I think even if you wanted it for that purpose, like against the decks where you want it, you want the higher devour numbers if like that's what you're going for, and they exist. We're going to get to them.
Okay.
So I think even in that case, if you're using it that way, I still don't. Yeah, I just don't think it like has a application really, unfortunately, for it.
Let's move on then. Next we have Alluring Iguana, which is a 4-cost red pip beast. It's a 4/2 with Entomb recruits, which is very interesting in that you don't get it when you summon, right? Like it's a you either are getting it mid combat when you're dying in combat, or like you sacrifice it to devour. I don't know if this one's gonna see play.
Yeah, like you want it to trade. You want it to trade profitably for this to be fine. And I'm not sure an acute opponent will let you trade profitably. As you pointed out, it's way too expensive to just sacrifice of your own function. So it's sort of in the like, it is probably fine-ish, maybe, but you need your opponent to help you set it up, which is never a good thing.
Yeah, and it sucks that it's like a 4/2 where it's just missing the X5s. Most of the X4s are in decks that can easily make them bigger, and then it's a 4-cost. So like you can't even loop it with your Airmont's Machinations. So I just don't see it seeing play. It's fringe even in the recruit decks.
It's like an anti removal card. Like that's what it does. It's like Piloted Shredder from like Hearthstone. Like that's what I first thought of when I saw this. I don't know if anyone knows that card. It's a oldie, but I mean, assuming you build your deck properly and that you're gonna hit and hopefully get a unit in play. If you don't get a unit in play with this card, it's like really bad because 4-cost 4/2 is really bad. But the really annoying thing about this card, like I played some drafts with it or against it and with it, and you don't know what they're gonna get. Just like Piloted Shredder too. So it's like you when you're like planning your turn, you're like, should I kill this? Like what could they get from this? You know, that would be really bad for me. Or like when should I kill this? Like should I kill this on their turn? Should I kill on my turn? Like do I want them to be able to attack with the thing? Like I think it's like a little bit better than it looks.
So it's one of those cards that's like good in play, but it's not good enough on paper that you want to ever put it in your deck to get it in play? Is that...
Well, another thing about it is if you're in a unit-based deck and you... Like, the thing about Recruit that makes it so good is, like, if you have, like, a specific unit that you really, like, want to, like, dig towards and get in play, like, that, especially that one that, like, costs 3... Recruit just becomes so much more valuable. Like Recruit 4 is like way better than Recruit 3, which is actually interesting because that's like the opposite of Cascade. Like with Cascade, you want the number to be as low as possible, so it's more consistent. With Recruit, you want it to be as high as possible. It's all upside, and because you're gonna get more powerful stuff in play, and you just get so.
So what are the 3-drops that you want to get then?
Well, there is a cycle of 3-drops in this set that are all busted. And
we could also say cough cough red high roller.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like getting a 3-drop in play for free is really, really good if you actually like manage to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of like a sleeper card, honestly, a little bit. But you really have to be in a deck that has really strong 3-drops, I think, and you need to play like over 32 units in your deck. So that is a little specific, but if you expected like Skycracker Control to be like a really good deck, this card's really annoying for Skycracker Control to do it. Like they have to 2-for-1 themselves.
That's
just to
fair,
deal with
because
it.
like if it
It's
hits
good
a
against
dude,
sweepers.
it comes right into play. Like once they hit
Yeah.
a sweeper, then they gotta have answer to the next dude. That's fair.
Yeah, it's just a really annoying card. Like Piloted Shredder was underrated for like the exact same reason, and then it was like one of the best cards in like that set for Hearthstone. So
All right.
I don't know. I have a feeling about it. We'll see.
All right. I
think,
expect
like-
you to bring it to the finals and then
Maybe.
miss. Just
Maybe I'll play it in FJS Revenge. Who knows? No, I won't.
yeah, touch of what is that? What's the one that I
Touch of
love so much?
Resilience?
Touch of Resilience.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just give it
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah,
And
there you
then
go.
This one's
Yep.
a 4-drop, so you can't grab it with Defile. Okay, God.
Yeah.
But imagine if your opponent plays a Desert Marshal mini attack with this. It's like the one really big downside that I see with this. Also, Edict of Kodosh, like silence effects are so good against.
That's true.
In response to Devour.
Yeah. If silence is a thing, it's really good against this. For
Edict
sure.
of Kodosh was already very good. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. We've got Blade Tooth. It is a 4-cost double fire pip beast. It is a 3/3 with quick draw. Devour 5. Play a 1 attack weapon on each of your units. This card is pretty spicy. It's an
Yeah.
anthem on top of Void Hate.
Yep. Puts it on itself too.
So it's a 4/3 with quick draw if you can trigger it. And
Yeah.
I don't know how often you're like curving and your opponent has the 5 cards in their discard pile. So this is not like a turn 4 play, I don't imagine. This has got to be closer to like a turn 6 play.
Yeah, and you'd also want it to be a turn 6 play because that way you'll have a wider board.
I don't know. I've played some fire decks that have a pretty wide board on turn 3.
Well,
Triple Grin.
another thing is that if you were playing hunt cards, then it also speeds it up a little bit.
So that's
yeah,
one
like
reason
hunt,
to play that one, the
Yeah.
1 cost 2/2. Yeah.
it has like a small chance. Like it does have some chance. If you're like I don't know, you have like some really dedicated Devour card, then yeah, hunt gets a lot better.
I think
Also. Oh, sorry.
I think in most cases, though, this is just a pretty nice market card, where it's like a body that you can put in your market with your grafter. You grab it, it becomes a 4/4 decay with quick draw. Quick draw decay is sweet, and then you just get the anthem like in the later stages of the game when you're like grabbing it on turn 7, and you can just pay 3, grab it, play it, and then you Gucci.
There's also one specific hunt card that doesn't really have hunt that we have to mention if you talk about Devour Darkwater Vines. Like if you play
Yes.
Darkwater Vines and then stuff like Auto Tread to trigger it, then you can get this on turn 4, but you have to draw the vines, I think. Otherwise you don't really get it on curve most of the time.
The vines, I've been thinking about this all week. It is a very double-edged sword kind of card for this. Because yes, you're turning on your Devours, but you're also turning on your opponents. And I don't know like how much mind game like in your own head you want to be playing to feed your own Devours, or if you just want to play a natural game. I don't know.
I think you're gonna want to lead towards playing the vines because vines are just so good.
It's a good card on its own, yeah.
And also like, I mean, I would be very surprised if like Devour like if every deck was playing Devour cards too. So like most of the time it's not really gonna matter. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I will say really cool combo with this. It's in Peasant is what is it called? Quartermaster. So
Oh
you can
yeah,
draw
that
like
card's really good.
buttload of cards if you live the dream. If they don't kill your Quartermaster, you can draw so many cards.
I have definitely tried to live the dream and gotten it off a few times, but those are games that you were already going to win anyway. But this card in Quartermaster, pretty sweet. This card in Watchwing Support,
Yeah.
this card, and I guess it doesn't work with Rat Cage because it's not relics.
Yeah.
but
I mean, it kind of does. It makes your rats 2/1s.
it does. So this card suite, I don't know if it'd be format defining, but it is definitely a pretty solid playable-ish. Like, it's up there, but not like top tier.
Yeah, I think it's very niche.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out is that I feel like if you're not in either Primal or Shadow to support filling up your opponent's void in some way, I think that the power might be diminished a little, because what I'm imagining is, having experienced the past 2-3-ish days, is that what happens is the void will naturally fill up over the course of the game when units, say, like, trade, right? They kill each other, they go to the void, but if your units end up trading with Bladetooth, then you have less weapons to put it on, right? So Devour 5 is actually quite steep. I think over the course of like some draft games, I won't even hit like Devour 5 by the end of the game. So if you don't have a dedicated way to support this, I don't think you can get away with just like playing it in any random fire market. That being said, if you do have a way to support this, or or units, attachment synergy, dedicated discard. I think this could, as you guys pointed out, be quite a potent market.
There's also, if you just like play a lot of removal, then that also helps, because like Peasant is like a very creature, like besides like Skycrown control, like every deck plays a bunch of creatures mostly, so that fills it up a lot. Discard spells work too if you have some of those. I don't even know how many that are playable, but and then also Devour is just like intrinsically like great in your market, because you grab it when they have the cards, and then it's really strong. So that's another thing too. I think any Devour card that you look at, you'd be like, I put this in my market, and it'd be pretty sweet.
And I've already been like a big fan of fire markets recently, so I can definitely see this being pretty solid. It's unfortunately not as good of a card with the Caravan market because it's not a fast spell. So it seems good in the Grafter variant of the fire markets at the very least, as we previously discussed. But let's move on to the next card. Next card we have is Cry Havoc. It is a 4-cost double red spell, not a fast spell. Deal 5 damage to an enemy unit. If it dies this turn, the enemy player discards all units with that name from their deck. So it doesn't hit cards in their hand. However, it does add cards for Devour. I can see it hurting you in some ways because you're just putting things into the discard pile, and if they're playing a discard deck, then it's really just fueling their void. You really want to be able to Devour immediately afterwards, and it doesn't stop the things in your hand. So like I don't think this is a good enough card.
I would agree. Also, 4 costs, low speed, deal 5, only 2 units.
Yeah.
Is not.
Yeah. This ain't no Lavax.
In a constructed.
Yeah.
I think one interesting implication is if the Watchwing deck still exists that only plays Tinker as the only unit, basically. You can just kill a Tinker with this, and then the deck doesn't do anything anymore.
It does, though, because then you grab the Tinker out of your discard pile because that deck plays Dark Returns.
Okay. But like, then you still only have to deal with the fact that one Tinker, and like, if they make them
Hold on. You're using your 4-cost card to kill one of my Tinkers?
But like, if they make the mistake of playing a smaller Tinker in the early game, you can hit this, and if they don't have like a Tinker in the deck that already has 6/6 stats or something, then you're kind of fine if they use a Dark Return, get a 2/2 back, play that again, then you just Lightning Storm it. But that's kind of the only application, and Devour, of course, but I think there are better cards to get to Devour.
Well, so Dark Return gets back a 2/2 and makes it a 3/3 though. Tinker's an even stat, right? It's not 2/1, or is it? Is it a 2/1?
Yeah, it's 2/2. Right?
Tinker Unionist?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 2/2. Yeah, you're right.
So it becomes a 3/3. So like, I don't even like. I know what you're saying, but I think that you don't need to relay tech for that deck because as much as I love it, it dies to itself more than it does to relay anything else. Like, in most cases, if you're putting those Tinkers in my discard pile, that's an easier way for me to draw them than drawing them from my deck. Like, the amount of times that I sit there with the combo churning and, like, I've got a 20/20 Tinker somewhere in my deck and then I just never draw a way to draw it. It's just cool, now I'm dead.
Yeah. Everyone really loves extraction effects, so I wouldn't be surprised if people actually did play this, because it just makes people so happy when they do it.
It's a very interesting card for a exotic purchase market. Like that you specifically need spell effects.
Yeah.
I just don't think this card is going to see much play.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's very good. I think you could play it in like a fire delivery for like a control deck, but like, why aren't you playing a primal control deck with a primal delivery? Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Doesn't hit the hand.
That's I think the biggest downside for me is that, like, even if it would have them draw a card after I take a card out of their hand, like, just let me get out the next one that's coming down, please. I don't want to have to, like, pay 4 mana to kill what is very likely a 3 or less cost card, and then you just play another one.
Can you imagine, like, killing something with this and they just discard nothing and you're just like, oh my god.
That was my one of.
You just know that they have 3 of this card that you had to kill. And just did nothing. That's just so funny.
I don't think I will make an effect like this again that hits the hand, because people really, really hate it. Turn to seed, and
it's gross. It's awful. Yeah.
Royal Decree cards. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not good.
I still think the Royal Decree should have given the cards Destiny. I think that was the worst part, was that it stayed in your deck.
Yeah, like Rain of Frogs.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Myrmidon Rider. It is a 4-cost, 1 fire pip, Oni Insect, because it is an Oni riding an insect. It is a 5/2 with Summon, gain 3 health, and Reckless. It gains 3 health, so it becomes a 5/5 for 4 if you have 2 or more other units. So this adds to the line of thought of most of the insect cards that want to be in, like, group scenarios, where in the previous set it was as long as 2 or more things were attacking, then it wouldn't get a downside, where if only one thing attacked, it would get a downside. In this scenario, it becomes a 4-cost 5/5 as long as you have 2 other dudes. And that's fine, I guess.
Barricade Basher, is that you? What did they do to you?
I mean, it's another.
It's aggressively.
Yeah, it's another unit that we have access to in Peasant that is good with the things that like you to have 5 power dudes, of which there are 2. There's the one that they gain lifesteal, and then there's the one that they gain double damage. And I have seen people play those cards, so hats off to those people. You have a new card.
And the only other deck I could see it is Onis because of the creature type, and like it's still a 4-mana 5/5, and Onis is a top end deck, could maybe see it.
It's reasonable in Onis because it is a very big Oni that gets the overwhelm weapon and wears it very well. Like, it's a really good target for when you have the what is that? Mark Meager, I think.
Ah, yeah, marksman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll like put a one attack of one weapon on something, and then it has the when it dies, it becomes a ghost of itself, and you can sacrifice to get another weapon, and that'd be a really good use of the second weapon because I don't see you holding your 3 mana dude to play after your 4 mana dude.
Does Onis play Quartermaster?
Yes, in most cases.
Oh, then yeah, you could market that other card, the
Yeah,
4
yeah.
Devour card too in that.
Yeah, sometimes.
But-
Like, so I've seen Onis be really low to the ground and play only 1 and 2 drops. I've seen Onis go the full up to 4 curve. It really just depends on how you want to play it. Unfortunately, we don't have the ramper from the campaign, but
Yeah, I think this is like a mono fire card. Like, if I'm being generous, even like or nothing at all.
yeah.
Yeah. One important thing in Monofire, just play Prison Golem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, you
this
just
is
get
like
more 5/5s. Just play Prism Golem, play Barricade Basher, play this thing, and then
Yeah.
have them all die to full tilt.
yep, and then you you full tilt yourself and
Yeah.
uninstall the game.
Alright. So this card, solid leg D. It might see play if you really want to, but I would not count on
Yeah.
seeing this. Next we have Tandem Strike. It is 4 cost, single red pip for a spell. One of your units hunts 2, and then recruit. I don't like spells that recruit because it's adding spells to your deck that do not get recruited. Unlike Cascade, where Cascade was any card, recruit only hits units. So if you're playing a non-unit recruit card, it is just not able to be grabbed, and it's like a non-bow. Also, requires a dude already in play to hunt 2. Card's not great.
Yeah, it's not great.
The only note that I have for this is that this set's theme is bringing back Renown as well, and targeting unit to hunt is technically a Renown trigger. But yeah,
Almost all of the renowned cards in Peasant are pretty bad. Like,
yeah,
if I'm not forgetting any of them, most of them are pretty bad.
most of them. The one I'm thinking of that's a decent dish is the 1/1 Flying Valkyrie that gains lifesteal. Alright, next we have Fire Guide, which is a 5 cost, 1 red pip, Oni Explorer. It is a 4/4, summon, play a Fire Honey. It's a little too big to be in the Oni deck. And for 5 mana, you gotta be doing something real special.
Yeah, I don't
Just
think,
play
I don't think it gets there.
The free drop instead, that is the same thing.
Yeah.
What does the same thing?
The 3 drop, the B,
the
that we were talking
the
about.
B.
Oh yeah. I
Normal
don't
player
know.
just play that.
Yeah, this card's unplayable. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, don't play this card.
Okay. Next.
It's good in draft, but don't play it here.
Now the best card in the set, Rampaging Wabbit, or should I say, Wampaging Wabbit. It is a 5 cost, double fire pip, beast. Why don't they just make a bunny unit type? Come on now. It's a 5/4 with Overwhelm. It has Devour 4, kill all enemy attachments. This is a solid body, a solid number of Devour given its cost on the curve, and a solid ability that can go in the main deck or in the market. I think this card's playable. Maybe not like from a defining, but I think it is a card you are happy to insert in your deck.
I think this is a card multiple decks are happy to insert. Like it's as you said, it's nothing spectacular. But given the trend of what we're seeing so far with the Fire Honeys, with I don't know, are we going to vitalize Watchman support in other decks? And if so, killing everything at one time is absolutely. I think this will be a relatively popular choice. Sorry, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Can you play this? Can you play this outside of a market though? Like I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
So, and like fire market, like,
I think you can probably
are we
play
really
it in the
playing
same
Rust
way.
Grafter?
So, yes, first of all, Rustcraft, like, I thought I taught you well enough with the use of decay and its ability to lock people out of the discard pile. Uh, but
Yeah, but that just matters so much less now.
maybe. Like, it does matter less because, like, we do have Devour, so we have more ways to enter the discard pile, including Wampaging Wabbit.
Yeah.
But
Well, also Divine Grafter is gone,
I,
so
I see
like,
this in the same kind of slots that I see Fear Tracker, in that it's a solid body and it has a solid ability that is doing its work in some way. Like, both of them are popping off face Aegis. In Fear Tracker's case, it's like keeping you alive, but in this case, it's doing a solid job of answering things, like either answering the discard pile or answering the attachments. And the fact that it's doing two separate things at the same time, and in some cases doing both of them, like in some scenarios, we're only going to be caring about one or the other. In some very specific scenarios, we're going to be caring about both. Like in the case of if you're playing against the FTJ Armory deck that wants to get back the sword, or the sword over and over again, it's either going to kill the sword that's currently a 60-60 in your face, or it's going to remove it from the discard pile and you're never going to see it again. So,
I
like,
think
I can see one or two of these at the very least being in most fire mid-range decks.
can this? So this doesn't target, but can you? I wonder if you can actually devour with this one if they have no attachments.
That's a good
Like if
question.
it pops their face Aegis or not. I would assume it does, but I'm not sure.
I tested it only for the Skycreek one that targets. That definitely doesn't work,
Yeah,
but this doesn't
yeah,
target, so maybe it still does. One
yeah,
important distinction with Fear Tracker is that Fear Tracker like always does the same thing independent of the matchup. Like it's always good. This
yeah.
has like a very like just a higher fail case because just a 5/4 with overwhelm is not very good. But it has a lot. Like I think like Apple Chips, it's mostly a market card. Like maybe in some decks you can play it in the main deck, but as a market card, I think it's actually close to format defining because there's a lot of relic stuff running around, and against something like Reds, this just wins the game
Yeah, it's just
most of the
4.
time.
Yeah, no, it's really powerful. Like we don't have anything like this. So
For sure. Alright, so solid market card, maybe main deck. Next, we have Smoke Shaper. It is a 5-cost double fire pip elf druid. Weird creature type for a fire card. 2/2 with summon recruit. This is one of those cards that the fail case of like the floor of if you don't draw your recruit card, this card should never have been in your deck. And if this card is like if there is a 4-cost or less card, or in the case of the if you're playing the 4-drop recruit card as well, like if there's a 3-drop in your deck that you really really want to get to, and you're playing fire and like maybe time or like another faction that doesn't have a lot of good draw, like justice, I guess, then maybe. I just I think this card's probably not good enough.
it's much worse than every other recruit card you've seen, besides maybe the spell,
Yeah,
the red spell. But I think if you're playing this card, it's going to summon every card in your deck.
sure. And
That it
that's
sees.
in some case a bad thing. You know, your 5-mana 2/2 summons your Grenadin drone. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you only hit Grenadin Drone, that's kind of an oof for sure. But it's still 3 bodies. I don't know, but yeah, Grenadin Drone's broken. That's not even a good example.
My 5-mana card summons a 2/2 and auto dread. How about that?
I think
Yeah.
this is only good if you consistently hit like a 3 or 4 drop, like upwards of like the average 3 drop. It's good. So you need a high mass of like 3 or 4 drops. That the case where it's like really broken is if you hit one of the forecast recruit units. Like if you hit the nomad with this, the time one, and then that gets to recruit again, and you hit a 3-drop with this, then it's really good. But we don't have that many like 4-cost or 3-cost recruit cards in the format, so it's only mid.
Sure.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a mid-range card, I think. I don't think this is an aggressive card
All right.
at all. I would not put this in an aggressive deck.
let's move on to the next one.
Oh,
I'm going to try to go a little bit faster because we've been at this for about an hour at this point, and we are still in fire.
we're almost out. We're almost
We're
out.
almost out of fire. And I know we're coming from a lot of different time zones, so I want to respect Lord Perth's ability to sleep and Stormguard's ability to go about their day. So,
Yeah.
Territorial Flame Tongue is a 6-cost double fire pip beast. It is a 6/3 with Devour 6. Deal 6 damage to an enemy unit. You know, at the point where it's a 6-cost that devours 6, I really wanted to just say deal 6 to each enemy unit and just be a really good Flame Tongue Kabu. But no, this card seems like a decent card in the market, maybe?
Yeah.
And then never gonna see play in a main deck ever?
Yeah. That's right.
That's like a fail card that does the same thing, but way better because it costs half.
Yeah.
To draw 6 kill an enemy unit is just, on a free drop, is just way better.
Yeah. Alright, next we have Time. We got there! Lost Hive Tender. It is a 1-cost, double time, so you can't play this on turn 1 unless you play the Fate card that gives you a time influence when you draw it, and you draw it on turn 1. It is a civilian insect. It is very proper. He has a law degree, and he defends people in court. 1/1, Nomad 2. So it is a 1/1 flyer on your turn and a 3/3 defender on the opponent's turn. This little bee lawyer is... I don't even know. Is the 3/3 on the opponent's turn good enough? Like, defensively? Like, that's interesting, right?
Kind of like it. And mostly because in the Majestic Skies Flyers deck,
Sure.
you're already playing a bunch of ones.
Yeah,
What
you
I
should
like
pick your
about
poison
this
1-drops.
is- Yeah. What I like about this is that it gives you a pretty solid blocker in a deck that is very, very bad at blocking.
Sure.
I don't think that it is going to be popularly played, but I can see it being played in one specific instance for the role it's supposed to fill.
It is a 1/1 for 1 that does not die to Lightning Storm in the Flyers deck. So, like, if you only have one Skies out, which is usually the case, when you draw that second one, you're probably winning the game anyway. But when you have like 2 or 3 1/1s and 1 Skies, it won't die to Lightning Storm. It'll stop some aggression to try to win you the race if you're not going to attack with this one. And for the most part, like was mentioned, like there are a ton of 1/1s for 1. It is really just pick your poison. Do you want to give yourself Aegis? Do you want to plunder? Do you want to have a 3/3 blocker? Do you want to pay some extra to stun their unit? Like, it is pick and choose any number of dudes. The downside is that you just won't play this one on turn 1. And I guess that's the biggest downside in the Legion Flyers deck, is that you're still trying to play a 2-faction deck, and it is double time. You were already favoring time because you wanted to play Humbug Nest, but it's probably fine.
Yeah, the second time influence is the one reason why I don't like it in Flyers, at least not a lot. Because you always want to play like a 1-drop on 1, you don't want your 1-drops to be active on turn 2. On turn 2 you want to play a 2-drop, or Skies in this case.
Yeah.
Like, I guess on turn 3 you can do like 2-drop plus this, but I think a 1-drop that you can't play on 1 is a bit awkward in the deck.
Or like this plus Skies on turn 3. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything with Skies, like blocking wise, also. But
it's already getting the +1/+1 or +2/+2.
yeah. But I'm just like, it's a Nomad unit, but Nomad units are only flying on
your turn.
Your
Yeah.
turn. So even though it's a flying unit, it's like not when it's blocking.
Yeah. All right. Next we have Young Protester. This is the guy that needs the bead lawyer. 1 cost, single time pip, civilian rebel. It is a 1/1 that has bolster +1/+1/+1. So bolster's new, right? We didn't have bolster before. It says once per turn, when you would gain life or gain armor, do the thing after the colon. So it is a 1/1 that you can gain a life on your turn, become a 2/2, gain a life on their turn, become a 3/3, etc. It doesn't do the cool ever growing thing that Life Force, or not Life Force, there was another 1/1 that has Overwhelm that we use in the Life Force aggro decks that doesn't actually
Yeah.
have Life Force, but it's like part of the strategy.
No, it
This
has,
card,
it has Life Force.
does it?
There's the 2-drop doesn't. Actually, no, the 2-drop also has Life Force.
Okay, okay. Anyway, so this one
Yeah.
can only get so much bigger over the course of a few turns. It seems like not terrible, but not great. Like,
Yeah, it's. There's been like a. I guess batteries calls it bolster aggro deck that was made that I've seen floating around. This is more like copies like the 5th to 8th copies of the 1/1 Overwhelm Life Force. Like it's not as good, but as a matter of density, you want it, and I mean, now you can play this in a deck with 16 paintings.
that's
This
true. That we were already
grows.
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, this grows a lot, and like you can easily end up with like a 4/4 5/5 for 1 by the end of the game. So it admittedly is not as good, but it knows what it wants to go into, and it does a very good job in that.
Yeah. And it's solid with cards that gain you life not on your turn, like Devour, like the bounce something that costs 3 or less and gain 3 life. So there are ways to trigger on the opponent's turn that you want to be playing anyway.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, so bolster is in Time Justice Shadow.
so we're going to
And
see it in both of the Life Force colors.
right, and I think there's a possibility that you could do a Combre Life Force aggro deck, and you could play Combre Painting and the Time Waystone. So you don't even have to play off-color paintings if you don't want to. If
You
you want to
still
keep
do.
playing Insignia, like that, you could potentially do that if you wanted to not. If you wanted to keep your Insignia for whatever reason.
I will take more paintings over undepleted lands in an aggro deck that tops out at 2 every day.
Tops out at 2. I mean, there's so many good like payoffs at 3 and 4 in Life Force, right?
Like,
At
really.
least 3.
I don't know. The ones that I've played, we were totally cool with just keeping it at 2
It's
and
like-
less.
What is it called? The
relic is-
Premonition
The
Wisp
2/2 that makes
and
that 4/4.
Oh yeah, like the Wisp
Yeah.
was. We stopped playing the Wisp. We started playing the Mandrakes because you could play
Yeah.
the
That one also
Caravan
costs
Market with the other Mandrake that has Fate in the
yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, but that also costs 3.
Yeah.
That Mandrake.
But that was
That
in
one
the
is
market.
really good too.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I meant the you play
yeah,
you
the
play
other
the
the
3/2
one that makes
deadly.
Little Seed, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
makes everything deadly. The Mandrake's deadly.
Yeah.
And then you also want to play Hive Hexagon. That card's crazy.
Yes, I don't think every one of the aggro decks wants to play that, but it is a solid card.
I mean, if you're trying to like gain life every turn, then yeah, I think you want to play it.
Button Call is also like really good in Xenon, but like if you go TGS now, I'm not sure if you have the influence for that.
I think Galvatip's is saying
Right.
that you choose one or the other. You choose Cumbre or you choose Xenon.
Yeah, you could. I mean, with marks, you have the influence to do
Right.
it for sure.
And
If you want
the
to.
mark is in that color, right? It's the time. And
Yes,
then,
and one thing I didn't say about marks is in your 3-color decks, like you can just cut seats completely. You can play off-color marks, like each well, in the 5 3-faction pairs that are supported in the set which is TJS, JPS, what's it called? GPS, FTJ,
FPS is still missing.
FPS, and then the last one I said JPS, FTP, FTP.
Yeah.
So Genev, yeah. So Genev, creation, purpose, yeah, those ones. So in those ones, you can play like 3 marks in your deck, like because like all 3 of those will have like an FTJ. You'll have a fire mark, a time mark, and a justice mark. One of those will be like fully on color, but the other 2 are still really good because they're just sigils that you can use to gain, like, to be like a duel.
Yeah.
For like, so 3-color decks, you can really do like 3-color decks a lot more. Obviously, paying 1 mana is worse in an aggro deck, but I still think they're just so good that it's still totally doable.
It's the paying 1 mana is the equivalent to the power coming into play depleted, so it'd be like a seat not having the power in hand. So it's the thought process of you're getting to play this undepleted if you ever just need to hit that powered up on curve, but if you really need that power fixing, the influence fixing, then you can pay the 1.
Exactly. So they actually play really well in aggro decks too, for that reason. So I think you could do a TJS Life Force deck if you felt like it was worth it.
Yeah.
Like if they felt the cards were there, then you could do it.
All right. So young protester copies 5 through 8 of your other 1-drop, probably fine. Like niche role filler of a specific archetype. So next we have Calming Melody. This one's an interesting one. It's 2 and a time for a fast spell. Your units get +1/+1 this turn. Each enemy unit cannot fly this turn. I've always liked the card that says units can't fly and draw a card.
Sandstorm
Specifically, but that has both sides. This one, if you're playing Elysian Skies, can just stop the opponent from blocking on an Alpha Strike turn, but I don't know how actual playable it is. Just seems nice. It seems better than the one that has Amplify 6 and gives +1/+1 on Overwhelm.
Oh, yeah, you mean
Behold the Truth.
Yeah, Behold the
Yes,
Truth. It
Behold
seems
the
better
Truth.
for the flying deck than Behold the Truth, if you even want to play a market in the flying deck.
Well, this is
Otherwise-
also a fast spell. Like
It
this
is.
is a resonant strike with extra text.
Oh yeah, it's good against the flying deck as a market card. If you're like, oh, I have trouble with flyers, which Time doesn't really have trouble with flyers, to be honest. Like, Time's got some pretty good flyers. I don't know, like,
Yeah, I don't think this is going to see play, honestly, but it's cool.
Yeah.
it's cool though. Next we have Hideout Agent. It is a 2 and a time for a civilian rebel. 2/1. Ambush, Entomb gains your life. Because it just can't be summoned. Unplayable? Chaff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have better stuff to play.
I too like Desert Alchemist. Give me those instead. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next we have
I mean,
Honeyball.
yeah.
It's a 2-cost, single time pip, fast spell. One of your units can't die this turn. You gain life equal to its life. It's interesting. That's all I have to say for it. Triggers renown,
yeah.
triggers life gain. It
Yeah.
checks off the boxes that they wanted to check off for the draft archetypes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just play Curtain Call. Like
Yeah, just play Curtain Call. There
Just
you
like
go.
curtain call, yeah. That's another reason to not play off color paintings is curtain call. As
You
well.
can still make it happen. It's fine. Alright, so
Jesus.
next we have Youngblood Novice. 2 and a time for an exile to 2/2. Summon it gets +1/+1 and overwhelm if you played another unit this turn, which is a cool combo with recruit.
Yeah.
I think this card could see fringe play. It's also really good with the Sand Warrior that costs 0, right?
Yeah.
Is it actually called Sand Warrior? Am I remembering that
Yes,
right?
it's called Sand. Yeah, that's the right card. Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's a little too small for me. I don't know.
Yeah, because I'm with Applejack on this one because the payoff is a 2-cost 3/3. It's not like exceptional. We already have a bunch of 2-cost 3/3s in the sort of decks that even want to be playing with Sand. Because presumably, if you're in that, you're in probably Combray, at which point you have like Longhorn, you have the new card we're about to talk about. So I just don't really see the payoff
Yeah.
there. Even if the stats are just
I think like the one deck where I could see it is Praxis Aggro. It's like the only deck because Primal Constructed is really good with this, and this deck plays like a ton of 1-drops. You can play like Dasher, Oni Ronin, Canadian Throne, and so on. It also works well with Supplier. You get a power burst, so it's easier to trigger the effect. It's like the only deck, but even there, it's like just like Stormguard said, it's just a 2-mana 3/3,
I will.
and the fail case is just so bad.
So, I want to know two things. One, it's really bad with Dasher because you can't give the Dasher charge if you're trying to play this on the same turn as for like the second spell, unless you have 5 mana. Two, it may be good with Lumen Shepherd if you can manage to draw it at the right time.
Yeah, I think this needed to be a 4/3 to be interesting enough to play.
Or a 4/4.
I mean, if it was a 4/4, it would just be like
Snap, you're
probably
in.
busted.
Get in the van.
But a 4/3, I think, would have been the right spot. It would have been perfect because then you're like getting a 4/3 overwhelm for
Honestly,
2 is that's good enough to work for.
I would like,
For Peasant.
if we're talking about asking the Direwolf gods for a buff to this, can we just get a buff to the health instead and make it a 2/3 baseline so that when they go to full tilt you, it doesn't die? And then it becomes a 3/4 when you have the summon.
No, I think I still like 4/3 better. No, we don't need we need our aggro decks to have weaknesses, I think. Don't like that.
Somehow giving it more health than attack is better for the aggro decks.
Well, no, it's actually it's actually still better for it to get attack, but yeah, like aggro cards should be like you need to kill me, but there are things that kill me. Like that's
Right.
how aggro needs to function, I think. Otherwise it's kind of like really toxic.
Yeah. Alright, next we have Pilgrim's Pack. This is the card you wanted to talk about, Stormguard, right? It's a 3-cost time card, weapon. It has +1/+1 and Nomad 2. This is the 2-cost 3 you were talking about that was coming up next, right?
Changey Stick, is that you? What did they do to you?
I don't know. No. It's not I guess it's not objectively terrible.
There's a bug in my
We
backpack.
have changey stick.
Yeah, this card's unplayable in draft,
Yeah.
so don't play this card. Just don't.
Alright, next we have Pipes of Promise. This is a 3-cost single-time relic. When you play your second unit in a turn, it gets +2/+2. This is Granite Drone's best friend.
This is Red Cage's
There you
best
go.
friend. I think this is like the perfect card for Reds. Like if you have double Red Cage and you just play this, and then
If you have
just
double
get
this,
Yeah.
can we
Like,
make
this is
some
mostly-
Okay. Sorry,
Mostly a Red Cage card, but also playable in other things. I think.
I've been messing with Stormguard's audio this entire time because of some echoing issues we had earlier. Okay.
I don't know. I'm pretty low on this card, actually. I think this card might be a trap. I think it looks better than it is. That's my opinion. Because so the obvious card to compare this with, well, it's not even in Peasant, but the obvious card to compare this with is the 4 cost one that draws you a card when you do this.
Oh,
And that one, this is better than that. So like, let's be clear there. This is better than that card, but
that card used to see play in set 1 constructed.
in set 1 constructed, but it's like really, really, really bad right now.
Well, I mean, like, Peasant
like
is
it's not
basically
even
set 1
close to
constructed, right?
playable. Like that, I think if that card was in Peasant, would that card be good? I don't
Yes.
know. I think
I
drawing
would
cards
play-
is better in Peasant than getting stats though, which is actually
Well,
weird.
you
It's actually
play
kind of
both.
weird.
You would just like play these and then play a bunch of dudes that just make other dudes. I do.
Yeah,
think,
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but
I don't think this is a format staple, but I do think this card is a cool build around me that will excite a lot of players. So I expect to see at least one copy in someone's deck. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Alex Firo.
I don't doubt that people will
Wait.
try it. And it does work with Recruit, like the other card, which is something, but I just think the payoff is like not quite there. Like imagine top decking this card. It's so bad. It's like it's horrible. You have to I don't know, you have to like build your deck in a way where you just like never run out of stuff to play, which it's not impossible, but it's like I don't know.
What if you just like play it in the mono time Echo deck that is playing the 12 ways to get into their market anyway, and you just put one in the market?
I think you have to main deck this card. It's too awkward to get in the market because then you've played all your. If you played all your stuff, like the longer you wait to play this card, the much worse it gets because you're just gonna run out of stuff and then just literally nothing. And all this does is give you stats on the board.
Yeah.
So like, if your opponent doesn't care about your stats, like if they can just like full tilt your board or they're just like playing a different game than that, it's just really slow also, and you're. I wish it gave you like an advantage as well or something.
I
Like
wish it just drew us
needs
a
a
card
little bit
too.
more. Yeah.
It needs to draw us a card as well.
Yeah, if it drew a card and did this, that's busted. If it just drew a card, that's busted.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know.
I promise to build a deck around this later. How about that? Anyway, next we've got Rite of Renewal. 3 in a time for a spell that gives you a recruit trigger and then gaining 3 life after the recruit trigger. So you get to bolster after you play your bolster card off of recruit.
Really bad.
I want to say that it is not the worst in the world because I don't think you're going to be playing this one in the recruit deck. I think this is the card that you play in your Life Force deck that wants to get your prime Life Force hits and then put them into play.
Yeah, I agree. That's its only chance. Is in Life Force aggro.
Like, I've actually seen in Constructed and Magic people play Revitalize, or whatever that card is, like the draw a card and gain 3 life, right? For 2. So if this card is drawing me a card and getting 3 life, or it's putting something into play and getting 3 life for 3, like, I'm pretty okay with that. Especially if I like the fact that I'm gaining life.
I mean, 2 mana instant speed is so different than this, though. But yeah, it is more powerful. You're seeing 5 cards, and you're building your deck to where it actually works. But it means you can't put in a control deck.
Right. Like I just think this is fine. It's not like a format staple, but it is an option for a archetype that already exists. And I don't think you would necessarily be unhappy to play it. Next we have Steel Warren Tunneler. It is 3 in a time for a 2/3 mage. Spellcraft, play Teleport. So it's either a 3-cost 2/3 or a 5-cost 2/3 unsummon.
Like, Praxis displays exist, and this isn't really better. Like, you don't want to ever play this for free, and on 5 it's worth. Like,
The only difference, I know it's 1 less attack than Displacer, is this actually casts the spell for weird interactions that involve like you playing 2 cards in a turn or specifically playing spells. None of those are really playable in this format, so just add this to the list of things that do 2 things at once, and then we'll put those in a box and wait for that box to become relevant.
Actually, this is worse because it puts a card in your void for devour.
Oh no. So next we have Tethered Bee. It is a 3-cost 1-time insect. It is a 1/2. It has Nomad and summon, play a Restorative Honey. What does Restorative Honey do?
Sack it for 2 power, gain 3 life.
Okay.
It's bad. It's the worst honey of the 3. Which we haven't gotten to the 3rd one yet.
And
Fire
so
honey's the best. This is the worst, and then the other one is like kind of in between.
And this is a 1/2 with flying on your turn, or a 2/3 on your opponent's turn. This card is garbage.
Yeah, it's not it, Chief.
It's real cute though. Wood pet,
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
It's
Like-
got a leash and everything.
Yeah, it's a pet.
It's a pet, yeah.
Next we have Turn the Tides. People are gonna love this one. 3 at a time for a fast spell. Double a unit's power and toughness this turn. I'm really sad that it is 3 cost, because this is a card that exists in Magic at 2, and I am very happy to play it at 2 in Magic. I am not very happy to play this at 3. But there's just going to be that person that's just like, oh my goodness, I get to OTK and go bah, and then you die. And that's actually a deck in this game. It's just this card costs too much. Like,
Might Weaver Enjoyers. In shambles.
Yeah, it's also not in the standard Blitz colors. Like, if it was a Justice card, I could maybe see Blitz like trying like 1 or 2 copies somewhere, but like Blitz probably doesn't want to play time. Might Weaver decks probably don't want to play time. Not really sure where you would even play this.
I've played TJP Blitz variants of the OTK that play Omri's Choice and the other one that gave Overwhelm, because it's come to be recently that Overwhelm is getting better than flying, because flying isn't always enough to make it unblockable.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Stormguard? No? Okay. Sorry, Lord Birth, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, even then I assume it's just too expensive, right? Like, it's a very interesting effect, like you said. I don't think we have anything close to that in Peasant yet, but it's just 1 power too expensive.
Yeah, the difference between 2 and 3 is so much in those kind of decks, where on average I'm trying to combo off with like 4 mana. I'm like gonna play my dude, and I'm gonna play maybe another dude because you killed my first dude, and then I'm gonna try to combo off on turn 4 to kill you. And Chips knows, because I have beaten Chips over the head with these decks before.
Oh my god.
And
I hate those decks so much.
The difference between 3 and 4 means that I'm only casting 2 spells instead of 3 spells, or 4 spells. Generally, it's like 2 1-drops and then the one that gives +1/+1 for all of your battle skills or something. The difference here, though, is that those units that are really good in that deck want you to be... what is it called? It wants you to be playing a bunch of spells because they get +1/+1 on top of whatever the spells are doing to them. And if you're only playing 2 spells instead of 4 or 3, then it's just, they're not as big.
Yeah, I think if you're going to play a 3rd color, you're most likely to play Shadow. So it's supported in the set, and that's the Renown 3-color pair or faction wheel or whatever. So
I don't think Shadow has the spells or the dudes for it, though. I think like Time or Fire are the 3rd color of choice.
Well, no, you'd splash. You would definitely splash the Shadow. Yeah, you wouldn't. It wouldn't be your like main thing for sure. But they got a couple of things that maybe get it there. I don't know. We'll see.
Next we have Be Back Scout. It'll be back later after it goes on its recon mission. 4 double time civilian insect. It is a 2/3. Has Nomad 2 and Ambush while you have a relic. This would be the second card that does Ambush while you have a relic after the Sloth. And the second 4-drop with that is pretty sizable with Ambush after Sandstorm Mage or whatever it's called. The 3/3 that gets +3/+3 when you play it. So
Duster.
Oh yeah,
Duster, yeah,
6/6 with charge. Yeah.
So it's probably worse than Duster as a combat trick. And I don't really want to be paying 4 mana for a 2/3 to attack with. So trash?
Yeah, I think so. It's
really big.
Yeah.
It is really big on their turn. It's always a 4/5 on their turn,
It is
unlike
always a
Duster,
4/5
which
on their
becomes a
turn.
3/3. But Duster is like a charge card too, so it's
Duster is a lava
still
axe
better.
if you want it to be.
Yeah. So it's a lot different. It's really annoying card. These cards are always so annoying. If your opponent has this card in your deck and open deck lists and they just leave with 4 power, you're like, all right, I guess I'm not attacking this turn, but there's way around. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so
Obvious. I mean, it is a flyer like that. It's kind of like the other thing that the 1-drop that like it's a flyer and it's really good at blocking. I don't know. Maybe these cards are just like
this
there's
is
just a ton of aggro decks. Like how does an aggro deck beat a 4/5 ambush? I don't know.
This is gonna go in my fire time doesn't die to full tilt deck, where you just curve out 2, 3, 4, and then full tilt the board, and then you go, ugh.
Got him. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
You
super
still need
niche.
a relic. Like it's not even.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, you have
Just
fire honeys, maybe just incidentally. But I think the setup cost is not terribly worth it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, but Majestic Skies.
Majestic Skies. That's a relic you want all the time, ever. Anyway, next we have Druid of the Sands. It is a 4-cost, 1-time Druid, 1/1, +1 maximum power, summon, recruit. So, funnily enough, this is an initiative of the Sands, so long as you hit a 3-drop, because it is the 1/1 for 1 with maximum power, and then it comes with the 3-drop that you're paying 3 for. This, I think, is probably better than the Iguana, but still not really where I want to be unless I'm specifically playing the recruit deck.
Yeah, another mid-range one.
Or maybe this goes in the Spiff Combray ramp deck, because it hits another card that ramps you, so it's like a double ramp.
Does that list
Yeah,
play enough units?
I don't know.
Yeah,
not.
you have to. It's weird card. You have to. It's yeah, it's strange. You have to be playing a lot of like 3-drops, like real
Yeah, like
3-drop mid range.
I
not
like
enough
it for
Willows.
Behold the Truth Turbo, but I'm not sure if the deck is still playable. Like, this hits another Ramp Dog or like an Acolyte or something that draws a power. So you're basically guaranteed to be at like 6 or 7 power on the next turn, which means you're only 1 turn off of doing like etchings into Behold the Truth or something like that. But the deck is just very telegraphed, so I don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
Like, if the opponent negates Behold the Truth or has a board wipe, it's just losing.
Alright. Next we've got Last Reserves. It's a 4-cost time relic. When you attack with 2 or more units, gain 3 life. Notably, it doesn't sacrifice, so it just happens every time you attack with 2 units. Which is neat if you've got 2 Berserk units on the first time they attack, and is overcosted for what you're going to get. And I would much rather just pay 1 and then continue to pay 1 for my triggers off of a little gem. Bauble, yeah. I think this card costs way too much.
It costs way too much, and you have to have 2 units.
Can we just put Shepherd's Horn into this format? Like, Direwolf, can you like listen to me in the next set and just downshift Shepherd's Horn? Okay, thanks.
No, just give us a 2-mana one that like doesn't discount it or something. I don't know. Or gives it like stats. I don't know.
I don't remember a time in Eternal where they've ever downshifted the relative.
Oh, I know. I'm trying.
Well, they did
Yeah.
turn a promo into an actual card. They've done that. What was it called?
Yeah, the free cost free flyer in Fällen, the dino that gives like
Yes.
on night on
It's
Fane
an
effect,
uncommon
plus
now?
effect, yeah.
Is it an uncommon now?
I think it's a rare.
Oh, did they
I'm not
upshift
sure.
it?
Yeah, they definitely changed rarities a few times, but I think the last time was a few years ago, so I don't see it happening again.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
love for them to do some downshifts. Like, there are some cards from like set 1 and set 2 that just are not playable in Constructed and probably never will be even in whatever expedition format they make. And I would love for them just to look through old sets and be like, hey, yeah, you guys can have this card, you guys have this card. It's like cards like Paladin Oathbook, like, are never going to see play ever again. And Paladin Oathbook might actually see play in Peasant, but maybe not even that. Like, it's not even that strong. So
I
there,
think it's also makes petition play
Lieutenant-
when it was there.
Tandem training.
that card costs 4. Can that card cost like 2? Can we get what is that card that got like buffed from 4 down to 3? The Treasury Gate or Treasure Vault or something. That whenever you play a relic weapon, it also plays a Sentinel of the same power and toughness or whatever.
Minotaur.
Minotaur, thank you. So that card was 4, and then it became 3, and then I went and crafted 4 of those, and it was still not playable. And I wish they were just uncommons.
That card's sick.
The card is quite fun and quite bad. Alright, next we have Emperor Cobra. It's a 5-cost, single-time serpent, 4/4. Summon, put an enemy unit with flying or an enemy relic on the bottom of its owner's deck. This card is a decent market card. And,
It's a really good market.
yeah, like, if Cloud Scraper was already good enough as a main deck because of the ability to inscribe, like, this card is solid as a way to answer a relic or a big flying unit that, like a West or something. Card solid.
I think in the main deck you always play Clown Scrapper instead, just because Inscribe is so strong. And also 6/5 is still a fair amount bigger. But in the market, I could definitely see that. Like, if you only care about relic removal, you have better options in time, just like way more efficient stuff like Dismantle or stuff like that. But the flexibility of also being able to kill something like West is great.
Yep.
Well, also like units are much better with grafters. So this is just like,
Mm.
like I was playing Wildland Scavenging with Vine Grafter before level 4, and then I realized that the Minotaur is just better because it's like actual threat and gets the regen. So like, yeah, I think if you're playing Time Grafter, you're gonna play this card. I think probably.
And then it's just a 5/5 hit you in the face.
Yeah, kill your flyer, smack. Kill your relic, smack. This card's a beating in draft. It's so annoying.
Pretty solid. So, solid market card, not really playable in your main deck. Keep a lookout for it. Next we have one of the cuter cards in the set, Greedy Hoarder. It is a 6-cost double-time squirrel, and it is a 6/6 that has Bolster, draw a card. So this is, it comes down sooner than the worm. It's a little harder to trigger than the worm.
Mystic Ascendant, is that you? What did they do to you? I mean, yeah. Mystic Ascendant and Peasant now.
I don't think the bolster deck really wanted, so the life was sick because it's just way too expensive for those.
Yeah.
So
the option is like Compre Ram, but I think Scar Worm is still better there. You can reliably draw 2 every turn, and it's just way easier to trigger, like so many power cards.
Valkyrie Station.
True. Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is armor as well is a big deal because it means relic weapons, and yeah, Valkyrie Station.
And you're throwing Warden and
yes, Throne Warden. True, Throne Warden's really good. That's actually
So,
a
like,
good bolster trigger.
this is probably playable. I don't know how many decks want it, but I think it's in that realm of territory where like it's respectable enough that when I look at it in a deck list and I see life gain abilities or I see armor abilities, I'm like, I understand why you did this. And it is big enough that it's going to block most things, but it comes down pretty late. So you got to like ramp into it as well.
Yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good card in like on paper in Peasant, but
yeah.
big time mid range has like kind of always been bad. And I don't know if it like this doesn't make it good. Like it's a good card in that deck, I think.
Yeah.
But it does take work. Like you don't just get bolster for free in that deck. I mean, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is like some kind of Combre deck that doesn't want to play ramp because probably just playing ramp and surging instead is better because it's just a bigger dude and easier to trigger.
Well, 6 is way better than 8. Like 8 is almost unplayable.
That's true.
So 6, like if you can actually build a deck that can bolster this card is like pretty good. But
is there a card that has Empower Bolster or Empower Gain Armor?
Empower Gain Armor.
It's the one drop, right?
I mean, there's Empower Gain Life.
Yeah, just
There's also paint. Like it still works with like paintings and stuff. Waystones, like yeah.
Both Compre Waystones trigger this, which is cool. Like just as end time you can.
That's true. Yeah.
Waystone plus painting.
And Shadow, right? The Shadow one. No, the Shadow one's Nightfall. Never mind.
No.
Well, there's
like
the Shadow Coin. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
But yeah, you could play Seal, the colorless power if you want to go deep.
Yeah, right. It's in Peasant. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't care about your influence that much, then
which the big decks don't care as much. Like you can't play that card in an aggro deck. Like your restrictions are too high. But in
an aggro deck, you want to play Curtain Call and stuff too.
Yeah.
It's like you just or paintings, right? Like paintings are just better in an aggro deck. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it's cool.
Card's cool. Next we have Steelbite Myrmidon. It is a 7 double time insect, 8/6 bolster overwhelm this turn.
Yeah.
Draft Chaff.
Yeah.
Next we have the first card in Justice. No One Left Behind. 1 Justice for a fast spell. Give 2 of your units +1/+1 this turn. We have lost a strong card.
Yeah, he said in the chat that he needs to get water.
Okay, for sure. So this card seems way better in Real Constructed than ours because they have things like Kira and like things that care about double targeting. We don't care about this, right?
I don't know. Are there playable renowned cards?
Not really. Like in the new set, there's not a lot of stuff. There's just not a lot of renowned in Peasant.
Tracker. There's Devoted Ranger. Nah, not really it.
I actually like Devoted Ranger, but not with a card like this.
Yeah. There's not really any new cards that make it better.
All right, so this is not good enough, unfortunately. Next we have one of the funniest arts in the set, Splatter Tactics, where they're just nailing a bunny with a jar of honey, like just nailing it from the sky.
It's a giant bunny, Also, it's not like they're just like throwing a jar of honey at like a little bunny.
No. It is a regular sized bunny and a giant bee. And you will not have me learn any different. So this is a 1-cost fast spell, stun an unit, play Sticky Honey. What does Sticky Honey do?
It's stuns a unit.
For
Which
2?
I'm gonna get. Yeah.
Done for 2.
Muster.
It is muster. 1-cost muster.
1
Fast
cost
speed, 1-cost muster.
That's like a really good muster. And it's also a really good muster. Like, it is the kind of muster that a muster deck would want, where it is slowing down the game so your muster cards will do their things. And the best one is Green Stretch Empath, which will draw you 2 cards. So, like, a 1-cost draw 2 is pretty sweet.
Yeah, this card's actually pretty close, I think, to being good.
Yeah.
And it's also a
'Cause-
card that you don't mind playing early, too. Like, oh, they're, like, gonna steamroll you early. Okay, so stun that one, and then Sticky Honey, stun that one. Just save yourself, like, 6 life over the course of the game.
Oh, well, I think you're mostly going to use it aggressively, but
That's you.
I think that's the only time I think this is really worth it. Unless you really care about the relic.
Yeah, like West again. It's
And
a
it's
very
like-
cheap way to trigger West. Only costs like 3 power in total.
Am I gonna say it? Do I have to say it? Watch
Say what? Watching
me
support. Yeah. I don't know. It's not a unit though. I don't know.
Well, you slow it down so that you can draw your unit relics, or just the card that you draw off. It's fine.
Yeah.
This card is a solid like B in Constructed, I think. But
But yeah, I think this is an aggressive card that you can use it defensively in spots where you're behind, and it'll be like passable. But you don't want to be in that spot. You want to be beating down with this card.
Yeah, you
Because if
want
you
to
do,
be
it's really
beating down.
Yeah, you want to be beating them down. Yeah.
Like we're beating this dead bunny.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have Mistral Messenger. It is a 2-cost single justice Tinker Valkyrie. That's a good card type.
Yeah,
It's a
actually.
2/2 Endurance Nomad.
Okay, side note. Endurance on Nomad is low-key unfair. Just because it does everything Nomad wants to do to Vector. And 2/2 flyer and 3/3 on the ground is very serviceable. And on top of being just a single faction, it means there's a lot of flexibility.
And a
Having
very
played this in,
relevant
like-
card type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
2-drop Valkyrie.
This is playable even outside of Peasant and just regular constructed decks. So this is, I'm not sure if it goes so far as format defining because you are fighting a couple of different pretty solid cards in the 2-drop slot, regardless of which type of aggro deck. But it's a very strong.
Well, I mean, when Apple Chips first made the AP Valkyrie deck for like the first or second Peasant tournament, we were scraping the bottom of the barrel to find some Valkyries that are playable. So this being a really good Valkyrie at 2 is really good, especially since you can get your Valkyrie Warp cards out much earlier on top of a good body. It's just really solid.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like. I don't know if this is like where you want to be in a Justice aggro deck. Maybe it is. It's really good in like it's really good in aggro mirrors, for sure. But yeah, this is perfect in Valkyries. Like it's the fact that this is like a pretty solid card. I think it's solid, but then on top of that, it's a Valkyrie, a 2-drop Valkyrie. It's just so like 2-drop Valkyries are just so important to Valkyries like working. Because when Valkyries are Valcorping, like they're just unbeatable. Like you just can't beat that deck. You just get too much value. Just like warp a Deathwing, you warp like a 3/2 quick draw weapon. It feels like it's so unfair. Like, and you really need cards like this for that deck to like be consistently to work. Yeah.
And this holds weapons and it holds the Watchwing support buffs super well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because, like, if a 2/2 with Endurance Nomad is good, just wait until it's a 6/6 with Endurance Nomad.
Definitely.
Anyway, next we have Stalwart Guardian. It's a 2-cost single justice soldier. Soldier's relevant. 3/1 bolster. It is invulnerable to damage this turn. Yeah, the soldier deck does not want a bolster.
Yeah.
And
I don't want a 3/1. Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just nice to like so many things. Like there's so many things in the format. Warning shot, auto dread.
Grenadin drone, like come on, vomit. Get me out. Nah.
Next. Benevolent Bee Tender. 3 and a justice for a 3/2 civilian. Summon, play a Sticky Honey. Crickets.
I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, like it's better than the time one, but definitely worse than the fire one.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, it doesn't have any other text too. It's just a 3/2. So.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't even think if you're in like a stun deck that you're playing this. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really see it in any deck.
All right. Bye, B. Now this card. Gaston, is that you? Charming Steel Guard. 3 and a J for a 3/2 soldier. This is the bolster trigger I want. Play a 1/2 soldier with Aegis. Is this card playable?
Yeah, I think so.
I also think so, just because, like, as a matter of sacrifice, there's a lot of just incident sacrifice strategies. So as long as you get it going, I think it can sort of heal itself. I'm not sure exactly what cards I want to pair with this, just as a matter of general history.
I want to pair it with Devour because it gives me the 1/2 back.
Actually, like Piercing Creep and Stonepower Alchemist both trigger it. Is there room in FGS for this, or is this?
Not in the Revenge deck, I don't think.
I don't think you. Yeah, I don't think so. Probably not.
You could play it in the variant that's just like Argenport and has the Paladin where you sacrifice a dude to play a 3/3 weapon or make your weapon +2/+3, and that will also trigger to make another 1/2. So it's like another rat cage in that way where you're sacrificing the 1/2 to make a weapon and or gaining armor because it's giving the weapon +2/+3, which is going to trigger the bolster to make another dude.
Yeah, I think the places most likely to be good or C play is if you were going to go with TJS Life Force, because I think this might be a little too slow for Combray Life Force because it just makes like 1/2s, and it's a 3/2. I think it's a little. I don't think it really fits into Combray. The Combray, like it's not really that aggressive, but in like if you were going to do TJS, I feel like you would slow that deck down maybe and try to be like more grindy, more value oriented. Maybe you play Devour. Maybe you're definitely playing Hive Hexagon. Maybe Deathwing. You definitely play the 2/1. Yeah, you're playing Stone Powder. Like you're just trying to like play really good cards and grind the game out with like life gain synergies and just keep gaining value and just being annoying as hell and making all these like tokens and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. I think that's where it fits best.
Yeah. So solid card. Figure your own life out with this one. It's very much a brewer's forte. I wish it had a bigger butt though. I wish it was a 2/3 or like a 2/4 instead of a 3/2. 3/2 dying to Lightning Storm, Sorcerer's Choice any of the
Fire
random
honey.
shocks. Yeah, like that's not great. I mean,
Fire honey is rough.
I'm sure it was balanced with fire honey in mind, right? But
Yeah.
it's sad. Next we have Diligent Smith. It's a 3 and a J for a 2/3 Oni Rogue. When you play a weapon, it haunts one. So I'm assuming that means the weapon haunts one.
Correct.
Which means that you may be able to get muster triggers.
That's true.
Outside of that, I think this Oni's already wants a lot of incidental. So, like, I'm comparing this to say like the Auric Weaponsmith, 4-cost 3/3 Minotaurs, and I think this one might work slightly better, just because Oni wants to have a ton of tiny weapons, opposed to like a big. Especially now that we have first tallest ball, I think I'm not sure how I would build this, but given what we've talked about already, there are cards that just give weapons to everything. I think this could be pretty solid in the right show.
Yeah.
Could be an armory card, maybe. Like it's a 2/3, which is like better than a 3/2, and then
it's just not where you want to be with armory.
I guess.
I don't know. I think this costs one too many to be like really good at Onis, because once you're at 3 costs, I want to be either getting a guaranteed weapon on it already, like with Mark Maker, or I want to be drawing cards. I don't see it. I think this card is close, but like some of the numbers are off.
It feels Devour, kind of.
I really wish it just said Hunt 2 or it was a 2 cost. Same stats, keep everything else same, just either Hunt 2 or 2 cost. But next we've got Eel Fang Harpoon, 3 and a J for a 1/3 relic weapon with versatile. When the wielder is blocked by an enemy unit, silence it. I think this is fine as a one of in armory style decks with Dragon Forge and stuff like that. Like being able to have a weapon that silences enemy units is fine.
It's a 1/3 though. I don't know, and you have to like smack. You have to waste your swing for the turn. I don't know. I don't know if I'm in for that.
Yeah, you already have like a lot of like situational weapons in an FGS armory list that you would want to play over this, I think.
Alright.
And that
If it was just a little
like,
bigger, or like I don't know, like a 2/3 even.
I think
Or
what's holding
actually-
it back is it's versatile, and that means that they had to like really pull back on the power level, because versatile is just a really strong keyword that is, it gets too strong if you push the card too much one or the other.
Well, the fundamental issue with the card is the card only works when you're attacking either yourself or the unit, and this is a 1/3, so it's like really bad for
It's like a
that
defensive
purpose.
weapon.
Yeah, like you want it to. If it was a 3/1,
If it was a sort of
I
a
think
card,
this would actually be pretty good. It would be then I think you could play like a one of, or maybe more, but I don't know.
Alright, next we have Fanged Defenses. It's 3 and a J for a fast spell. Ready one of your units and give it endurance, and then each enemy unit gets -2 to attack this turn. Okay.
Draft card.
Yeah.
3 cost is a bit pricey for this effect.
Like, there's already a 0 cost card that does the similar thing, but only gives the -1 thing. I'd rather just play Well Laid Trap.
Yeah,
that card's kind of broken actually.
Yeah, with the caravan
no
market.
play.
Yeah. So not good. Thank you.
Yeah, the sad thing about this is also like you can't even play this in like a control deck that wants to stall, because I think you have to have a unit to activate it.
Probably.
So like can't even play it in unitless.
Prepared
That's
Tracker.
true. Yeah.
Prepared Striker is a 3-cost single justice ranger. It's a 2/2. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1, and then renown stun on enemy unit. So the +1/+1 is permanent, which means it grows over time, and the renown is not the worst. I don't think it's going to see play though because it's a 3/3 or a 3-cost. If it was a 3/3 or it was a 2-cost 2/2, I think it would see a little more play. I like just bumping this up to an uncommon, giving it a little more stats or a little lower cost would be more interesting. But even more interesting, it's like just a generic aggro card that I don't think is enough of a role player in any significant strategy to warrant any play.
Yeah, 2/2 in a fire honey world is just not it.
Alright. Next we have Rallying Trumpeter. It is a 3-cost single justice Valkyrie Bard, 2/2 with Nomad. Spellcraft 1, play Finest Hour. Yeah. Can we just have this one be a 2-cost too? Can we just have two 2-cost Valkyries?
I mean, Justice did have good comments for draft, so maybe we get some buffs.
I'm sure it's a good in draft right now. Like, hey, Direwolf, in like 3 months when you change the draft set, can you give us a little nudge? Okay, thanks.
I doubt they'll change it that soon, but you know.
Who knows? Who knows? Like, Direwolf has been very rough with the downshifts. They haven't really given us any of those, but they're really helpful when it comes to buffing cards that don't see much play in real constructed, and then they give us like really cool cards like the 1/1 unseen instead of a 4-mana 2/2. So I'm happy with it. Just like keep on doing what you're doing. Let's go next to the Alarmed Gatemaster. It is a 4-cost double justice Oni soldier. It's a 3/5, and when it attacks, you gain an armor. This card's sweet. I don't know if it's good enough, but it has stats in all the right places. It has 2 good types. Oni and soldier are very relevant. And when it attacks, trigger bolster, gain armor, do stuff.
I think it's just a bit too slow for like most bolster decks, and Throne Warden also exists. That's like the big thing. Throne Warden is just way better.
Yep.
Yeah, Throne Warden is eons better, yeah.
We appreciate you, Alarmed Gatemaster. We'll hit you up when we eventually ban Throne Warden when the format gets way in the many moons from now. That's never gonna happen. I don't think there's any world in which Throne Warden is too strong, but I guess I should never say never. Yeah. Next we have Leap of Faith. It's 4 and a justice for a fast spell. Give one of your units flying and +1/+1 this turn for each of your units. So it is a card that costs 2, adding 2 cost to give it flying.
Yeah.
When Levitate is a 1-cost spell that gives flying and draws you a card. So somehow the math just did not add up right here. Yep. Because according to Levitate, getting flying is worth like half or even a third of a mana. And this said it's worth 2. Next.
Yeah. Especially like 4-cost tricks in the world of Victimless Cry and Annihilate, Defy. That's not where I want to be.
Yeah. 4-cost tricks, period. Like, if I wanted a 4-cost trick, I would do, like, what is it called? Victor's Cry, the one with Revenge, and +5/+5. That card's in this format, and nobody plays that.
Yeah.
Alright. So, next we have Smith's Spokesman. 4 and a justice for a 3/3 rogue. Create and draw a 4-cost versatile weapon with power and toughness equal to the cost of the spell or weapon. So again, we just talked about Victor's Cry or whatever it's called, the +5/+5 revenge spell. You play that one instead of playing the card we just saw. And even then, you're creating and drawing this weapon, you're not playing it immediately, so like...
No, you can't play this card.
It's just so slow.
It's so bad.
My only note for it was Dice to Torch. So.
This would be bad if it played the weapon in Peasant.
Yeah.
But in Draft, you can actually play it, but because there's just not as much removal. But in Peasant has like Peasant removal is like better than like Throne, like because victimless crime is like busted.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny, but yeah.
What is this thing? Next we have Armored Ermine. It is a 5-cost single justice 4/4 beast, renown, given 5 armor, but it is super cute. It's like it. I don't know what an ermine is, but it like looks like a ferret.
Yeah, it's like an otter ferret.
And that's all I have to say about that.
We're not talking about what it does, right? It's not good.
No.
It gains 5 armor if you are not. Yeah, it's not a card.
Yep. No, I was just looking at the art. All right. Next we have Lured
Throne Warden. What did
Songbird.
they do to you? Yeah, that bit.
They re-nerfed Throne Warden back to a 5-cost and then removed its Aegis and then made you have to target
Yeah.
it.
Made Throne Warden a furry. Yeah.
Right. So now we have Lured Songbird, a 6 single justice bird 4/4. Flying, Lured Songbird costs 3 less if a relic went to your void this turn. So
I might like this if this were in a different faction, but Justice is really weird.
yeah, like if this was fire and I could like play this on curve with like, I don't know, it doesn't even work with Blitzstone. Never mind. I don't. How
No,
do
this
you,
card doesn't. You
how-
can't use this in Peasant, I don't think.
How do you efficiently make use of this other than just like basically paying 1 to 3 mana anyway?
I could kind of see it in a West deck, but it's like way worse than West a bit. But if you really want like
What?
a 5th to 8 copy of West that's weaker, then you can maybe try it out.
If you want a card like this, just play that like Serpent Rider card that is a 6-cost 3/3 that costs 3 less as long as you have a relic. That's like way less hoops to jump through for only 1/1 less. Just go do that.
I mean, I do think a 4/4 flyer is much better than a 3/3 flyer, but,
Sure, but the amount
it's-
of
yeah.
cost attached to this 4, like the +1/+1, is just so much more cost.
yes, yeah, it's way worse in terms of getting it out. It's so much worse. Yeah,
It's so
not-
much
it's not a
harder
card.
than like play Majestic Skies, play a 3-cost 4/4 flyer in the correct color.
Yeah. Like this is for Draft. You're supposed to like crack a Fire Honey and play a 3-cost 4/4 on the same turn. You know that's what you're supposed to do.
We're gonna necessarily stay away from this card and just skip it entirely. But by necessary slaying.
Okay.
Massive Bone.
Oh man.
I'm just like taking a pause to look at your faces. Alright, now it's a 7-cost single justice relic weapon, and it gives +4/+4, and it is versatile. This massive
Way
bone.
too expensive.
Yeah. This bone has small bone energy. Yeah, not it.
I'm just seeing this massive bone next to like flails and knives and swords, and I'm like, can I get one of those instead? Do I need the bone? Next we have Haven Lookout. It is a 1 single justice 1/1 rogue.
No, it's a
Or
blue
single
card.
primal, sorry.
Yeah, we're in Primal. Woo.
Whenever a player discards a card, Haven Lookout gets +1/+1 this turn. This is a really interesting combo with that Onslaught draws 2 cards, discards 2 cards. Whatever that card's called that I'm blanking on right now.
Wait, no, it's not.
It's not with
This is
Onslaught, because-
temporary.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. It's. Oh, right, because
Oh,
Onslaught, yeah.
With
Triggers.
Darkwater Vines though, it's a 9/9.
Yeah,
It
Dark
doesn't-
Water Vines.
Darkwater Vines is
You can.
6 and 6, right? So it's a 13/13?
It's
Or is
no,
it
it's
4/4?
four
It's
cards
okay.
and 4 cards. So it's
Well, I'm
yeah,
thinking
Does
of
it
Malaise.
Does it get buffed for each like single card, even if it's like 1 instant of the? Oh, okay, yeah. Then it's
Yeah,
better
yeah,
than
it
before.
does.
Like I already like the card, but this is a lot better than
So you just
yeah.
play
This is a
Malaise.
discard aggro. I mean, oh god, don't do that. But I mean, I
But
guess you could.
malaise, it gives plus 12.
No, it's +6/+6.
Yeah, both play. Or is it only? Wow.
Yeah,
Is
malaise doesn't
malaise
do
not
both.
both? Hmm.
No, it doesn't do both. I mean, if it did both, it'd be cooler. But yeah, it doesn't do
Yeah.
both.
Alright, never mind.
Yeah, this is
Don't play malaise.
Yeah,
Yeah, like-
but it's cool.
Felnor FPS Akku can definitely like make a variant that plays this. You play some hunt cards, you play Darkwater Wines, you can even play Spore Folk if you like. Yeah, like bone music, right? You can just play like bone music.
Yeah,
Spore
yeah, the
Folk,
bone music
all that stuff.
aggro. Yeah,
At the
drug
very least,
aggro.
play Pitfall Trap 2.
Not a unit that makes it a lot weaker, but maybe you find room. You really want to play as many units as possible for like Skull Dredger and
Sure.
bone music, so not
Okay.
sure.
yeah, I think it's cool. This is like a total linchpin card. It goes right in that deck, and it's really good. But it's yeah.
It seems solid. It seems cool. Next, we
Yeah,
have
sweet.
Urge to Feed. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. It's 1 Primal for a spell that one of your units hunts one, then draws a card. We were talking about the OTK deck a while back. This is the card that goes in that deck. Because it either gives the unit +1/+1, or it gives you another spell to continue comboing, and that spell gives you more mana. And it also draws you a card. This card does everything you want for OTK.
Yeah, this is one of my spoiler cards.
And you
Yeah.
didn't give it to me to spoil for the fact that it's good at beating you?
It's not good at specifically beating me.
Yes, it is.
This is actually this is a good card.
Yeah.
I still
Like-
I wish I had recorded that night. There was a time where Apple Chips and I were testing, and I got him with the OTK, and he was like, "All right, run it back. There's no way you can get me again." And I just got him again.
Well, I kept like throwing like each game also like. But yeah, whatever.
The
it's
tilt
fine.
factor in OTK that's like part of the strat. You just tilt them.
Oh my god. But yeah,
This card's great.
I mean, you can't play this in literally any deck,
No,
but
it is very good
um,
in the deck that wants it.
yeah, it's not that hard to use. You just have to have some reason for it to be relevant. But besides, yeah, because drawing a card is not good because you're just gonna like draw power. And
I mean,
flood
it
out.
used to be in set 1 constructed, where they had to actually just change levitate entirely because people just played levitate on the 1-drop that their opponent played, and that was just part of the meta.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
because
well,
of Aegis
pop an
back
Aegis.
then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pop an Aegis draw a card is big. That's playable. Makes it a lot more playable. Yeah.
Anyway, next we have Devoted Ranger. It's a 2-cost 2/2 Ranger. Renown +1/+1. If that spell weapon costs 3 or more, draw a card. 3 or more is in the realm of possibility where this is fine? Question
I actually
mark?
like this one because there is like the JPS free drop is really good with this. If you curve this into the JPS free drop that we will see later, you get like this is a 5/4 after that, and you get to draw a card. And it also works well with that one new Archimport weapon. Like
Wait,
3
what
cost
card are you-
3/1 the 3 cost 3/1 versatile weapon in Archimport that reduces the take of something by 2. We're gonna see that later. That's
What was
also
the
nice
first
to put
card
on
you
this.
said?
The uncommon JPS free drop that plays a versatile weapon.
Is that a 3-cost weapon?
I'm pretty sure it is. I actually didn't look it up, but I think it is.
Well, you should look it up before we get there. I think this card is like a solid C+. It's like a card that you would build your deck
Oh.
around and be okay with it once the thing happens. But I think on average, this card is not where you want to be without doing the thing that you're building your deck for. So,
Can-
like,
Yeah.
Cycle a mirror image on it.
Yeah. I did it in
yes.
draft already. It's definitely
That sounds fun. I would play the mirror image dot deck with it. Let's do that. Let's just play the mirror image, play the fast speed mirror image, play the. That's all we have in Peasant, actually. Never mind.
Yeah.
The other ones are rare.
the hunt
Yeah,
mirror
look-
image also.
Oh, is there a high
Five
mirror
minutes.
image? Okay, sure.
Yeah, Lord Perth is right. the card that's coming up plays a card called Cracked Femur, which is a 3-cost 2/1 versatile weapon.
Neat.
So yeah, it does work with that. That's actually really good if you do that, Kurt. But we'll get there, I guess.
Next we have Skybolt. It is 2 and a primal for a fast spell. Deal 3 damage to an enemy unit with flying, or give one of your units +3 health and flying this turn. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Not
Okay, bye.
It's just
not
better
giving
removal,
any
yeah.
attack is really awkward.
Yeah.
For the
This card's sweet. Okay, Striking Sparrow is a 2-cost single primal 2/1 bird with flying, and it has Devour 7 for +3/+3.
I love this card so
Yeah.
much.
So, I was in Elysian Flyers. I was already playing the 2-cost 2/2 that you can amplify to make 3/3s. Not flying 3/3s, just like amplify to do that. And I think this is probably just better than those cards because it's just you're okay playing it early and you're not going to hold it thinking, oh, well, if I get to turn 5, I can get a 3/3. Like, it's not tricking you. It's just you play it now and then you play it later. And you're happy with it both times because the Elysian Flyer deck doesn't really ask so much of you. But then a 2 mana with 5/4, goodness.
I also think this is just a strong Primal Market card, like in every Primal Market. If you really want to hate on FGS Revenge, on Skycrack Control, Devour 7 really takes a toll on any Void-based deck. In a main deck, I don't really see it outside of Ellie Flyers because it will be a 2/1 Flyer most of the time. Maybe in the Fell discard deck because Darkwater Vines can pump it up, and you probably play some kind of Void Recursion, and if you get this back after it already got the buff, you can maybe even buff it again, but at least it's a 5/4 already. So
Oh yeah, I didn't even
that's,
think about the fact that like in the long games you can just Dark Return it.
Yeah, it's an interesting card for sure.
Played it with Airmont's Machinations in like some kind of weird mirror match where you just stop their Airmont's Machinations with your Sparrow.
Yeah.
Anyway, card's cool. Put it in your market, put it in your main deck maybe, I don't know. Sweet though. Next we have Contraption Crafter. 3 and a primal for an 0/4 Tinker Exile with flying, and you can pay 3 to ultimate and recruit.
And 0/4 is just not it. It's like I would not in Constructed I would not play an 0/4. So no. Because as we discussed, like the front half of the recruit card still needs to be modern.
I'm just trying to think if I would play it if it said summon recruit.
I think in Ellie
Yeah,
Flyers I would actually play it. Like Ellie Flyers
Yeah, and
has a high
Elysian
chance of
Flyers.
hitting something, and it's basically Humbug Nest at that point if it was summoned, but paying 3 is just way too expensive.
Yeah,
yeah. I can't imagine a deck that would play this that has enough units for recruit. So.
Alright, next. Next we have Forked Lightning. It is a 3-cost primal spell, fast, deal 2 damage to 2 attacking enemy units.
No.
Okay, sure.
No, thank you.
Yeah, like, there's just so many better things to be doing. Can I just Sorcerer's Choice instead?
This doesn't even hit relic weapons.
Lord Furthest
so
Lake. Yes.
Yeah, no.
I would like to splash a second color to play a better card.
Yeah.
I mean, Dagon basically did it. It just took the Skycrack Control deck and added time for like 3 cards, I think.
Yeah,
Just like Surface Fence, Talk of Force, display.
in the last open that I actually got to play in, I did the same, except I just forgot to play Caravan Delivery. Or whatever the delivery was, the blue one.
Wilderness, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to play the delivery because I'm bad, and then I couldn't access my tomb.
No.
Skullhaven Patrol is a 3 and a primal ranger bird. 2/1 flying, renowned to gain 4 life.
Draft chaff. Yeah, draft chaff.
Fire was just so good. These other colors are just like so much draft chaff. Voltaic
Yeah,
Viper.
fire is definitely the strongest, I think, in the set.
Yeah. Also a problem for draft. Fire is just so
Yeah.
much better than anything.
It is. It's really good.
Voltaic
Commons.
Viper is a 3 and a primal serpent. 3/1 devour 2 draw a card. I think this is a devour that I'm like kind of happy with.
This one's close for sure.
It's
But
real
I don't
close.
know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure it's quite there.
If it had one more health point, it would be like stable territory, I think. But 1 health in Peasant just dies to too many things, and you can't attack into like Granite and Throne or like anything.
Yeah, just like what is this card really doing in your deck? Like it's a 3-drop, so you can bring it back with like what does that card cost? Called Aramot's Machinations,
Mhm.
but Aramot's Machinations in a primal deck, I've never seen that before. I don't believe in that.
Oh, I
yet.
have. I have brewed so many things that I can tell you that I have definitely tried that. It's not as
Okay,
good,
well,
but it
if the
exists.
meta comes down to just like Aramot's Machinations mirrors, this is like a pretty good 3-drop to
There
bring
are
back
better
Aramot's
ones, I think.
Yeah.
We're
I
going
can
to see
just
some
say
really
that-
good ones in the multi-card section.
That's true.
The Fanfly is so much better than anything else in the world.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
To say that this
Yeah.
next card would be good would be ambitious, so I think we're just going to skip it.
It's a little better than it looks, but yeah, it's not. It's not good.
If
So
you want
don't-
to play
yeah.
hunt cards, there are better hunt cards.
Yeah, just play the Beatles.
Yeah, for sure.
Called Shot. 4 and a primal fast spell. One of your units deals damage equal to its attack to an enemy in your sight. This triggers Renown. That's all I have
Yes.
to say about that.
And it hits sights. Oh yeah.
In Peasant, yeah.
Flavor
Peasant sight.
text.
Super relevant.
Okay. Determined Youth. It's a 4-cost primal, 3/4 elf, exile, spellcraft, play jump kick. And spellcraft 1.
Too expensive, I think.
No, it's too much power.
If I wanted this, I'd just play the joke.
If I wanted this, I would just play jump kick.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Next one.
Alright.
good
Grove
one.
Defenses. 4 and a primal for a spell that says stun 2 enemy units and recruit.
It's kind of lying to you. The name kind of lies to you because you're not trying to defend when you play this card.
This seems really good in the Huru Soldiers deck.
Yeah, I think if you're a Huru aggressive or not Huru, if you're just a primal aggressive deck, I think you should play this card. This card is, you compare it to, what is it, Jotun Frostkin or whatever?
Yeah,
Draw
Shira
Frostkin.
yeah.
Draw Frostkin. This is, you get a better body on average, I think, if you're building your deck properly, and then you're getting stunning 2 units.
Yeah. And
So
then, like,
that's
if you're playing,
huge deal.
If you're playing that 2 mana 4/5, right? That can attack as long as it is stun unit.
Oh sure, yeah, you could go deep and actually do like a Stun Matters deck and get even more value. Yeah, like I think in the decks that play this card, I think this could be better than the red one 3-drop because 4-cost recruit is better, and this actually does more. Like the effect is more, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you whiff, it's so bad, but you still stun 2 units at least, I guess.
Yeah, I think
But
Huru Soldier Stun is going to be playable.
Yeah.
It was
so-
already like tier 2, but not like there yet. But I think we've gotten a few good soldiers in this set, and this card is quite good. Next we
Yeah.
have Hawk Feather Bow, which is a 4-cost 2/1 relic weapon with versatile. Summon the wielder, deals 1 damage to an enemy, and if I'm trying to think about like
Infiltrate.
Yeah, we already had that 3-mana bow, the 1/1 that is 1 damage.
Yeah, it's
people have
it's
been
not
trying
a-
to play that in Peasant though, so like I wouldn't harsh on it so
I
much.
mean-
But like this card seems fine if like you can also play it with it's a good weapon that you actually want to play with Touch of Battle.
Touch of Battle. I mean, it is
Because-
pretty good with Touch of Battle, but
And
Yeah,
that deck was
kills
already
people.
like, again, like on the fringe of being good enough.
yeah, I don't know. Uh,
It's solid. But like, I'd say it's one of those like build around, um, not overperformers, but just like it does a role in a deck that wants it. Next we have Daring Pathcutter. It's a 5-cost single primal warrior, 4/3 overwhelm, renown, draw a card, and you gain an Aegis. This card
Trash.
just costs so much.
4/3 for 5 is.
Well, just like any time that you have a 5-cost that has renown, it's just like we have passed the point that I ever want to play a spell that targets you. Like,
well, yeah, I need you to do something else, like a Naya or something, right? Like, or the Frost Mage that's a legendary in this set. Like you can't just be a 4/3 that does nothing and
Yeah, like,
costs 5 and yeah.
if this was a 3/2 for 3 that had overwhelm and the same ability, I'd be down. But just 5-cost 4/3 is not good enough. Next we have Duskwing Servitor. It's a 5-cost double primal, 5/5 insect with Devour 3 flying. I think the ability of it having flying is not the point here. I think the point is the Devour, but
It's a 5/5 flyer.
I would just rather play the 2-mana 2/1 flyer or the Feln
Yeah.
Devour unit. I think if I really want to rotate.
yeah.
Like 5, you have to pay 5 and then it dies to like
Yeah.
Victimus Right Annihilate. I think it's a little bit too expensive for Peasant at this point. Like I think like
Yeah.
5 sets ago or something, this card would have been good.
If this card was a 4-cost and a 4/4, I'd be way more in, because like going from 3 or less to being hit by Devour is much different than being 5. Like there's that step up to avoiding Devour and avoiding Torch, like getting out of the 3 health and 3 cost range, and that's where that like 3/4 Berserk Lifesteal unit like really overperforms for some reason, because just it's in that sweet spot. But being a 5-cost unit is so much more expensive than that, and I'm just not a fan.
Yeah.
If it was like Devour 4, Devour 5, I'd be a little more in. I think the 2-cost one that has Devour 7 is a little bit too many cards, unfortunately. It'll be interesting to see like what the sweet spot of Devour cards is. Stirring Leader is a 6-cost double primal elf exile. It's a 3/3. Inspire. Units you draw get overwhelmed. Summon Recruit. So I love Inspire as an ability. I wish that it was on a smaller card, and I get it because it inspires to summon Recruit, so like you get the overwhelm on whatever you're recruiting, and that's cool. And 6 hits basically everything. I don't know what deck wants to play a 6-cost unit that's in Primal.
Yeah, like the FCP, if there's an FCP recruit deck, I think you can still play some copies of this and try to just high roll with recruit chains, like play this, hope you hit a 4 or 5 drop with recruit, hope to hit Carnal Instructor with that to hit a 2 drop. It's like pretty high rolly, but I think you could play this card. It's just way worse than the rare version in Fire, the trees.
I have not even looked at this set in the rare and legendaries. I don't do that anymore, so I'm gonna take your word for it.
And the Fire one gives charge instead, and it's a 3/5. That card is just so much better. Like hitting the charging 5 drop is just way better than hitting an overwhelm 5 drop or 4 drop.
Dies to Torch as my 6-drop. Gotta love it. Next we have Carnivorous Beaver. It is a 7-cost double primal 4/4 beast with Killer and Devour 5. It gets +4/+4. This is a card that would go in a market pretty easily. It is thick. It is removal. It is Void Hate.
That's cost 7. Like, I think if you want to go for the Devour alone instead, like there's better options like we talked about, like the 2-mana 2/1 flyer. I would rather play this in the market if I really want to void hate. And if I'm playing Shadow Influence, I'm definitely playing the Fen one instead. The Fen
Yeah,
Devour
that's
one.
fair.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to leave it to Beaver here. I think gonna look elsewhere.
All right. Now we're in Shadow. Only 52 cards to go.
I'm sorry.
Wait, that can't be true.
We're
There has
at-
to be less cards.
We're at card 74 out of 126,
Is that true?
y'all. I'm sorry, Lord Perth. Alright. Fang
It's
Trap
nothing.
is a 2 and a Shadow curse. The cursed unit has -1/-1. Bolster, increase that ability by -2/-2. Okay.
To be
Uh,
complete,
I
to be
feel like-
completely. Yeah, so go
too
ahead.
many
Go ahead.
groups. I think too many groups. Like the upfront of -1/-1 just isn't enough.
The one thing I do want to say about this is that it's really cool if you can get it back, because I assume that the bolster effect stays even when it's in your void, so it'll be like -5/-5 if you trigger it twice. If you have a way to get that curse back and like replay it in like some kind of Felon Curses deck, that'd be really cool. It's a lot of hoops and worse than your Devours and your whatever, but
Yeah, does work.
it's neat.
Yeah.
Next.
Just to go ahead, I think we can almost skip all Justice Shadow comments. There's like no comment that's better than Niche.
Okay, so you don't want to talk about Infamous Huntress?
Oh,
the 2
yeah,
cost
all the
1/1?
Yeah, I don't think that card is good.
Oh, okay.
Just
Yeah, I wouldn't play that in Life Force aggro or
Yeah.
any Life Force deck or bolster deck.
We have a Lurking Widow, which actually seems niche. It's a 2 and a Shadow for a 3/1 spider summon. The enemy player discards the top spell from their deck.
Yeah.
It's reasonable stats. It's a 2 cost 3/1, right? Like, I know it dies to a lot of things, but I'm sure there is a world in which people want that very niche ability. That's all I have to say about that.
I can't see it, but maybe.
Yeah, because like you're not gonna. How many people are gonna be manipulating to have a good spell on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if we're talking recruit, so I'm not sure where, like, in what corner can you sit?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good call. Next we have Putrefying Presence. Wow, this card is bad.
Yeah, no. Not,
Okay, so
the-
we started with the best faction and then we ended with the worst, is what you're saying?
Yes. The
Rift
next card is
Siphon.
cool, at least.
The
Yeah,
next card
Rift
is really
Siphon's
good
cool.
though.
Rift
Yeah.
Siphon is 2 and a Shadow for a Cursed Relic. When a unit hits the cursed player, it hunts 1. So this is like the Blood of Makar, right? That's what the card's
Mhm.
called?
Mhm.
And that card was playable in the markets of Shadow markets in Peasant. Like, Chips, you played it in your Valkyrie stack, right? So, like, I could see this getting played.
I played it in like one iteration, yeah. But
This costs
yeah,
half
this card
as much.
is Rat Cage Enjoyers. Rejoice. Also, this really gets Devour going if you can like get enough stuff like tokens and like also flyers. It's good
Like-
with that.
Like,
Yeah,
Rat
it's like-
Cage, this gets you to behold the truth way faster. Right?
It has
Like,
also
Hold the truth.
no, behold, that's the one cost that.
Because of the mana you get from it. Yeah,
You
sure.
either
yeah,
make your
yeah,
dudes bigger or you just get a bunch of mana to pay 7.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
so,
also
like-
works well with any unit that pings like auto tread, so it's just a
True.
good card.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's that class of card that you have to set it up. It's not just a good card, but it's
also
pretty push for what it
it's
is.
it's really good with Pitfall Trap and the draw 2 discard 2 as well. Like, it's just feeding you cards in your hand to discard as well.
Mm.
Pitfall trap. Oh, sure. Yeah. It gives you fodder.
Because
like,
you can
card board.
loot the
Yeah.
extra
Yeah,
mana.
yeah.
Because in
Yeah,
most
hunting-
cases that deck doesn't really care about extra mana.
Yeah, hunting is pretty good. If
Yeah, this is probably the
Yeah,
best
pretty
hunt card I've
cheaply.
seen in the format so far. Next we have Ruthless Officer. This one I want to talk about because I actually like Threaten a lot. So it's a 2-cost, 2/2 with Spellcraft Threaten. And you're getting a discount on the Threaten because Threaten costs 3, right? It's the you
no, threaten
steal.
costs 2,
Threaten is 2 cost spell, give 2 attack to a unit.
and it's
You're
a
thinking
fast
of
Oh,
spell.
am I thinking
I
of the
think
wrong card?
Madness. You're thinking of Madness, I think.
Oh, this card's
Madness is
bad.
the one I
Skip it.
steal.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's not MTG threaten.
I'm
No,
sorry. My brain just it went to that. Never mind.
no.
Threaten's
But the
bad.
next card is cool.
Steel Worn
Yeah.
Assassin is a 2 and a shadow for a 2/1 rogue soldier with quick draw. Bolster, deal 3 damage to the enemy player. This card's sweet.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
this is gonna go into the Life Force aggro deck so fast.
yeah.
Oh, okay, I don't. Although this card is very narrow, I think it's meta defining in the sense that this is a lot of damage.
Is this narrow? You play a a painting, and
Paintings.
you
Yeah.
your paintings are torches to their face.
I mean, you have to.
It's not.
Yeah, you have to be Life Force aggro. I don't think you can just play this in
Yeah.
aggro. It's
Like
a
just
2/1
a
quick
few,
draw.
a few paintings are not enough. But if you like Argent-Port Armory, although the deck isn't really that aggressive, so I was not sure.
Yeah,
Like I think it's narrow, like Stormcott said. Like Bolster Aggro
it's
definitely plays it.
But
yeah, it's like a linchpin.
Yeah,
this
it's narrow
is
but incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
So you have to be very, very aware of how much damage.
yeah, and then it also works with as we're saying like things that work in the opponent's turn, like Devour, like I keep forgetting what this card is called. The one that bounces a relic or unit that costs 3 or less and you gain 3 life. Like that card is
Pause
quite
for reflection.
pause for reflection. Thank you. That card
Also,
also just like tempo you 3U. Like that's pretty solid.
this card with what is it called? What is the Inspire 1-drop in Shadow that gives lifesteal? This card
Seen in
kind
Life
of
Speaker. Yeah.
yeah, like this pops off with that. You
Yeah.
not only are you triggering, you know, bolster, you're also triggering lifesteal with your life force cards are going off if you do that.
Oh, yeah,
And
if you
you're
give
like draining, you're gaining 3 life and dealing 3. So,
if this gets life to the attack with it, gain life, that triggers itself.
yeah,
You deal
it's
3
true.
damage to the opponent, which means you gain life again. Yeah.
Yeah, it can get out of control.
The more we talk about the set, the more like playing Vara's favor again. There's a few 1 health units that you really want to kill right now, especially with Crafter. There will be more aggro. There will be more passionate Stonehammers, calm recruiters. Discard.
Yeah.
I think Vara's
I
favor is actually pretty well positioned now.
Yeah, I think if I was going to play a Xenon deck, I would probably play Life Force because I think it was actually kind of close whether you played Life Force or Mandrix. I think Mandrix was a little bit better,
Yeah.
but now with Vinegrafter being gone and all the new stuff that Life Force is getting, yeah,
Well-
it seems pretty good.
At the very least, Life Force did lose Vinegrafter as well, and one of the big things about Life Force was that, like, yes, it was out life gaining some of the aggro decks, but the Vinegrafter was stonewalling aggro decks in the same main. Like, it's like, even
I
if
mean,
you.
sure, but
Yeah.
yeah, you just
So-
have more space to play your
Sure.
new Life Force tools.
It's just a matter of, like, I am happier now that it's more of a synergy deck, that if you just fail on your synergy, you're just a regular aggro deck, whereas Vinegrafter
Yeah.
was way too good in that deck, too.
Well, the other thing is that like Mandrax like needs Vinegrafter, but like Life Force doesn't need Vinegrafter. Like
I think
it's not.
Matrix
It
is
was
fine
just.
without it.
It was just like you just played it because it was Vinegrafter. So everyone played it, but Life Force. Honestly, I kind of like part of me wanted to cut Vinegrafter anyways because it doesn't do anything, but it was just too good, so you couldn't.
Yeah, and that was part of the problem. Next we have Canny Hunter. 3 double shadow, 3/3 warrior with ambush. That's a good style line on its own. Like, that is a 3/3 with ambush. You hold up your removal spell, they don't play anything, they respect, etc., then you just Canny Hunter. Renown, your units get +1 attack.
Permanently.
Permanently. That's not a weapon. They don't lose it when they die. This card's sweet. This card gets real good with Curtain Call. If you needed more reason to play Curtain Call.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, of course, if there's a JPS Renown deck, I think you play it. Although the double shadows a bit, I'm not really sure what the influence space for the deck would look like, or like
Yeah.
which influence you need more.
Well, you
If
can
it was
play,
single shadow, it would be really good in the deck.
You can play like TPS Renown with Omni's Choice and stuff like that. Those are some really good spells to target your units. Omni's Choice and Gavel's Insight, right?
Also, keep in mind that the 3 marks that are in JPS all give you shadow influence.
Okay, yeah, that makes it really
So
good.
What if
that makes
you,
it like the painting thing with, like, you know.
What if you play this with Mono Shadow to play the Revenge card that gives it extra attack based on the amount of shadow influence you have?
Midnight
Midnight
Hunt, is that what it's called?
I don't remember the name, but
Yeah.
that card has always been a blowout. So going like end step Canny Hunter, you're totally like unprepared. Then I attack, and then Midnight Hunt, and then bah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because Shadow isn't that good at renowning.
But the cards that it
but
can
by
are very
itself. Yeah, like the spells, but there actually is at least one more spell that
Really cool.
that is pretty good at that. But yeah, we'll see, I guess. Yeah, it's a pretty pushed card. Like,
yeah, I'd say this card is a solid like B+ to A. Like, it is not. It can be deck defining. You can make a deck based around this card, and you're generally happy to put it in most kind of shadow decks. I don't know if it like carries weight in every shadow deck, but it can be a role player. So I think this card is a pretty solid one.
yeah, the weird part about it is like you kind of want to play it with fire, so you get like Granite Drone and stuff. But then like fire and shadow are like really bad at renowning, so then like you need it's just
Hold
kind of
on,
weird.
hold on. You have some pretty solid fire cards. You have like the 2 cost gain 4 overwhelm and plunder.
Deal
Side
4.
slash.
I mean,
Nice.
sure, that card is not.
Playable.
That's kind of a blitz card. Like that's not a token go wide card. That's like kind of the weird part about it. That's like
So-
I'm just saying like there's a weird tension with
So,
the hunter in that
Is the-
you want to play it in a go wide deck, but you also want to play it with like spells that target it.
There
So
is
it's like
a
weird.
2-mana spell that gives 1 unit +3 attack and everything
Yeah,
else
there you
+1.
go.
That's kind of neat.
Oh yeah, that okay. There you go.
And then you can play Stonehammer too. Like that goes in this deck so
yeah,
easily.
sure. You could do that. Also, like relic weapons, versatile weapons are also work if you can. That's how Shadow and Red do it. They have more of those. So.
And Red's super good at making units have spells units have targets because they have the Onis that when they summon put a weapon on something.
That's true. Are there multiple of those?
Yeah, there's 2 at 3. There's the Mark Maker,
are.
and then there's the one that throws a +2 attack axe on it.
Yeah, right, the Acolyte.
Acolyte, yeah.
Acolyte.
Oh, Granite Acolyte. I guess.
All right, we've talked about this card for too long. Let's go to Frontier Scout, which is. I'm gonna squint real hard. I don't think this card is playable. It has a lot of words on it, though.
Devour, baby. No, don't
Yeah.
do this.
It has words on it. Do you want me to read them? Should we find different other frontiers?
Okay, it does make that one drop a 6/6. I guess I don't know if you.
But you have to renown it.
Yeah, you have Urge to Feed, Copium. I don't know. What do you want?
Okay, so
Actually, that mills for 6 makes it a 7/7.
you're being generous.
you
We'll
play
take to our next
It's
card,
not
generosity.
playable. Don't do it. Yeah, I am being. Yeah.
All right, so next is 3 double shadow for a fast spell. Give one of your units +3/+2 this turn. If it has a renown ability, play that ability an additional time.
This could be 10 cards.
That
Looked at what the best options for this are. It's probably the one that plays the Barbarian Camp, the 5-cost 3/3. Even other than that, I don't know. It's double shadow. It
You
doesn't
voted
gain any evasion.
Wait, the Canny Hunter is much better than that card.
yeah, Candy Hunter's pretty good. Candy Hunter's basically to Barbarian Camps, right?
Yeah, it's
Also-
like it's a Barbarian Camp if you already have a board.
Sure. Hope you do
But
already, but yeah.
And it works very
and
well.
it's the same factions.
It works very well with the 2-drop in Primal that
Yeah,
gets
exactly.
+1/+1 and draws a card. So you draw 2 cards and get 2 permanent +1/+1s.
Yeah, it'll be a
Uh,
7/4, 7/6 that turn.
For the turn, yeah.
And then stays
Yeah,
at
that's
4 afterwards.
And you can do it at fast speed, like it doesn't punish you for that. You know.
And that's why I think JBS Renown might exist, but you're really relying on having that Primal 2-drop. Like, there's just not a lot of other good Renown at like 1 or 2 cost, and all your good Renown enablers cost 3. So you really have to have that Primal 2-drop on curve, and the opponent can't have removal. Otherwise, the whole Renown stuff is just a lot weaker.
If they have removal, you just hit the Devour button, and that triggers Renown anyway.
It's true, Devour does trigger now.
Not if you play it onto a 2, man. It's like,
Well,
you need to play this guy into a 2
Yo.
to curve.
if I play a 2/2 for 2, and you play Devour or Defile and Victimless Crime, whatever, if you want to play your premium removal spells on my 2/2 for 2, you go right ahead.
Yeah, in the Renown deck, I think that actually sucks because, like, what else are you gonna play your whole Renown enablers on? There's just not a lot of other good options.
Well, I mean, you wait until they try to actually Renown it, and then you kill it. But yeah, no, I think
Well, they still draw the card.
sure. So I'm sure there's going to be a really cool Feln Renown deck with that 2-drop, and then the card we just saw with like Generosity, Mirror Image, and other dumb things. And I want to play.
There's
that
another
deck.
card coming as well.
Y'all, it's spoiling me. Anyway, next we have Noxious Venom, a 3 and a shadow spell. It has Lifesteal, deal 3 to the enemy player. They discard the top 3 cards of their deck.
Mm,
Neat.
No.
nah.
No.
Or in taxation, I see. If it wasn't for those meddling kids, it would have made our deck. Yeah, no.
If it did damage to an enemy, I would like it.
Yeah, there is a card that already does that, right? Without discarding 3 mana, shadow, deal 3 to an enemy, lifesteal.
Yeah, that card
Like,
doesn't
that
see
one
when you
card.
play. I mean,
Yeah.
if this did the discard and that, I could see it, but yeah, it doesn't. Because then the discard is interesting with Devour and also the discard aggro deck with that 1-drop. But yeah, you can't. No.
Alright.
No Orin taxations here.
Next we have Sonic Blast. It is 3 and a shadow for a lifesteal, deal 2 damage fast spell. God, I wish this was 3 damage. I should
Yeah, the
just
shadow
do
cards
that.
are pretty bad.
Like, can this just be 2 mana or be 3 damage? Like, this is so close to being just okay. Because right now it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
Honestly, I would take 1 damage, 1 cost, lifesteal fast spell. Can we have that instead? Can we just like trigger, add instant
Wait, did
speed?
you say 1 damage, 1 mana?
Yeah, like 1 power, 1 damage, lifesteal fast. Can we just
Condemn?
have that?
You want condemn?
No,
At
but
common?
that targets. Is condemn also targeting units?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I have condemn without the market?
Is there no condemn that target? Is that not a thing? I guess not.
We have a 3 cost, deal 3, and then it like
That's slow,
scries
yeah.
you 1 at slow speed or something. It's not very good.
Oh yeah, it does scout. Yeah, that one's way better than this card, and it doesn't see any play. Even though this is fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Next, we have Theron Sniper. It's 3 in a shadow for a 2/2 warrior of renown. Give the enemy unit -X equal to the cost of that spell or weapon. So mirror image deck. That's what I'm saying, y'all. Just
Yeah.
probably not good enough.
3-drop. If this is like a 2-drop, it'd be actually pretty good, I think. Or it would be playable. But
Yeah, if this could curve into a 3-cost spell, but the fact that it cannot.
well, it is a permanent debuff. Like even if you use a 1-cost spell, it's like not totally embarrassing, I guess. But
Yep.
yeah, it's just 3-drop.
Next we have Stalker Spear. It's a 4-cost double shadow relic weapon with versatile. Devour 4, give it +2/+2 permanently. I like this solely for the fact that weapons are very easy to get back from the discard pile.
This
is repeatable Devour, yeah.
Like Voprex's choice.
Yeah. Also
Give me some
the
of
fact that you have searchable Void Hate and Armory decks now is really cool. Like you can play Eclipse Dragon and Blade Crafter and search Void Hate for matchups. That's cool.
Yeah, this
And it's
card.
also just solid on raid. Like if you get a Devour consistently, it's a 4/4 weapon that you can play on a unit or on yourself. It's
Yeah.
just strong.
Yeah, having in the armory style decks, having a versatile weapon that just says, "Hey, you've already got a relic weapon on you. I'm not going to get in your way. I'm just going to go onto a unit and start beating their face," is really sweet. So FGS Armory loves this card. Or Stonescar Armory too. Like Dragon Forge for Brex's Choice, that's all you need. Next you have War and Enforcer. No.
Draft Chaff.
Too expensive.
Yeah.
Next we have Ravenous Tusker. War and Enforcer.
Or
Sorry.
draft.
Yeah, more Draft Chaff. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. And actually, this next card is
Yeah, Terror Claw seems neat. So it's a 6 double shadow, 6/4 insect, Devour 4. The enemy player discards discards 2 cards of their choice from their hand. It's only unfortunate because it's their choice and it is a 6-cost card, so it's likely like all the mana that you have, and you are removing cards from the discard pile so that they just have new cards in the discard pile that they can get back with their recursion or whatever. So you're like hurting them, but then kind of refueling them. It is they are discarding cards, so it's not terrible, but if the last card in their hand is Shoal Stirrings, you just gave them 2 Mandrakes.
Well, unless you discard the Shoal Stirrings.
No, they get to choose.
Yeah, but what if they only have like 2 cards in their hand?
Sure, then.
It's kind of similar to Eavesdrop in the sense that you
Eavesdrop.
always have to keep it in mind. Like if you know your opponent is playing this, you always have to keep 3 cards in hand if you have something important.
Yep.
That's
and-
cool.
Yeah.
And that you discard 2 cards is not always a downside because it means your future Devour cards are live earlier again, which is neat.
Yeah, it's just the fact that it costs 6. I would rather just play Eavesdrop because like it's so much harder to keep up 6 than it is 4. Like when they're like
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
when they see in your deck list that you have this card in your market instead of the Eavesdrop, and they're like, "Oh, cool! So once you hit 5, I can start like stocking up my hand to be at 3 cards." Or Eavesdrop, it's so hard to prepare for Eavesdrop. Like 4 is there before you know it.
Yeah, it's like competing with Metal Fang kind of card.
Yeah.
Metal Fang's better. This is like not. This isn't any good against Control. Like Control just has Face Aegis and multiple cards in hand. So yeah. This is like good against mid-range decks.
Yeah.
Like because it eats the void a little, and then also if they're not careful, you catch them.
All right. Next we have.
This card.
Yo, it triggers Renown, and it
does,
costs 7. So
the
you
Overmaster really likes this card,
Theo likes this card. Right.
Well, yeah, it's Devour.
Devour.
Of course, he likes.
I'm gonna make sure that he submits a deck with at least 3 tournament plans for next week's tournament.
To be fair, he likes it like sometimes in draft, not yeah, but
For those joining
I
us
don't.
late, for those
I'm
joining
not.
us
I'm
late,
not a
we
fan.
are doing a peasant tournament next week on the 28th. So join us then. Alright, so this card isn't actually playable, right?
No,
It's probably pretty good in draft, but it is not playable in constructed.
I think it's
I don't.
too
Yeah,
expensive there too.
yeah, it
Just
is. Yeah.
it's
We
also
made it.
weird because Devour is the kind of effect you want to have in a deck with a lot of cheap cards, and then you suddenly have a card that costs 7. It's just
Yeah, so like, can I have Cunning Plan, but like as a 4 cost? Where it's Victimless Crime and Devour, and you just like combine them. That's how math works. You combine them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the one problem with this set uh is that Shadow is like really, really, really bad. Like there's a couple of cool cards, like the Rift Siphon, Canny Hunter, stuff like that. And there's some multi-faction cards, but
yeah.
like
I
the
would
mono shadow cards are just like really bad. So
All right. So
that'll be my one criticism of the set. I think it's a pretty good set otherwise, but
we have made it to the final lap, y'all. We are at the multi-faction cards.
Oh
We
yeah.
only have 34 cards left because this set has so many multicolored cards. Wandering Trader is a 3 for Justice, Primal, Shadow, 2/1 Rogue with Aegis, summoned to play a 2/1
Oh.
versatile weapon. This card is pretty sweet, honestly.
Yep.
The weapon does cost 3, so it does trigger the things that care about that. It has Aegis, so it'd be a 3 cost 4/3 with Aegis, or 4/2? 4/2.
4/2, yeah.
Seems sweet. No
You
complaints.
can also just kill. It's versatile, so you can just kill like deal 2
Yeah,
to something.
yeah. I would play this in decks.
Yeah, this is like a reason to be in JPS.
Yeah.
I think, for sure.
You also play the weapon on itself, right? So worst case, you can always play a 4/2 Aegis.
Mhm.
Next, we have a card with very small text. Talia's Choice is. I want to make a small note here that this cycle is very reminiscent of the displays, except because they have 3 abilities instead of the choices, which are generally 2 abilities. And yet, they're following the choices in the theme of they cost random amounts. And I really don't like that because there are 3 color cards that have 3 abilities and somehow don't all cost 3. And I feel like this card could very easily cost 3. It is 4 and Justice Primal Shadow, fast spell, give 1 of your units +2/+2. Why would I pay 4 for that? I guess it's permanent. Play a
Yeah.
5/5 Albatross with flying and stun it, or the enemy player sacrifices 2 relics of their choice. This card is not great.
It's so expensive. It's like there are so many much better choices.
As it is,
And
if it costs
including
3, would you play it?
At the Albatross, I think the Albatross is like actually decent, but it's the only good effect on it, and it's a bit overcosted for 4. Like, if it was just the Albatross and would cost 3, I think I would actually think about it. Like a 5/5 flyer for 3, even if you have to stun it for a turn. At fast speed, which is important, like you can do it end of turn, it is
Yeah.
stunned.
So, like,
And
if
then-
this was 3 cost, I think I would respect it. At 4, I can't. Especially since I think it is very important that because all of the choices cost 3, if you're playing a deck with multiple choices, I think Electropilot did this years ago in a Peasant tournament, where they played 4 of one choice and then played like 1 of a bunch of other ones in their 4-color deck. And the opponent would just never know what they had because they were holding up 3 mana for the entire game. And I'm just like, cool, you have to play around 10 effects. What you gonna do? Albatross 5/5s, I believe, are mono primal.
Yeah, they're mono primal 2-drop flyers.
Yep. So dice to defile as well, which is not great.
That's awful. Okay, next then. Alright.
I mean, I think it's like you could consider. I don't think you can market this card. I think you would have to main deck this card.
Yep.
So
It costs too much to market. So
yeah.
next we have the Draft Beasts, which is a cycle of 6 cost cards of 3 colors that when you draw them, because they have fate, they can give you a stockpile, which you can sacrifice for, I think it's what, 2 power?
It's a 1-cost relic that you pay 2 to sacrifice to get one of the sigils of its colors.
But you don't have to have it in your deck, right? It just creates the sigil, or does it? From your deck?
No.
From
You
your
have to
deck?
draw it. You draw the
Okay.
sigil from your deck, so you do have to play the sigils. Yeah.
Okay, so you have to play the sigils, and across the board, all of the units have big attacks and low healths. This one has Aegis. In general, I think most would be happy
Well,
playing.
The FTJ one actually has more health than attack, I think.
yeah, the creation one is a 4/6 charge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's 4/6 charge, 5/2. They all cost 6. 4/6 charge, 5/2 flyer. The menace one's 5/2 flyer.
The creation one being 4/6 is really cool with full tilt.
Sure, yeah. And then the TJS one is a 5/5 deadly. The JPS one is a 6/3 Aegis.
And then 6 for overwhelm, I think, for FTP.
Yeah, and then 6/4 overwhelm and FTP, and it's a bun.
Important.
A bun, yeah.
But if no one brings Bunny Tribal, I will be sad.
Yeah.
Alright, you heard it here first. Bring Bunny Tribal, or
Yeah.
Lord Perth will be sad. So this Draft Beast, in general, like, do you think the Draft Beasts are playable? Would you play them? How many would you play? Is it a main deck card? Is it a market card? What do you think?
I think you play one in
Yeah.
your 3 faction decks.
Like, one is
Um,
basically free.
Yes.
That's way too free. Especially if you play markets or stuff that also discards cards from hand, it's just extremely free.
Yeah, if you play grafters or like ways to use cardboard in your hand, then they're pretty good. And it plays a free relic for Rat Cage too. So
Yeah, I think Rat Cage might play 4, just because Rat Cage also plays things like, what are they
just
called?
play Pitfall Trap.
Pitfall
but
Traps, yeah. To get
I
rid of it.
don't know if I would play 4 like.
It-
But maybe you could potentially play 2. I don't know. You really don't want to draw this card if you don't want to draw multiples, even if you have. Like, I don't think it's so strong that you play multiple copies of it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that, but
I also like them in Recruit at like maybe
Yeah,
a
true.
little bit more than 1 copy because you don't want to play Seek Power or like spell effects at Search Power, you want
that's
to play
interesting.
units.
Yeah.
And in Recruit I can kind of see playing a bit more than 1 copy. Just so you can consistently get more power for your recruit units.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's solid. So we're just going to take this discussion and skip the other ones.
Yeah.
Caleb's Cloak is a 2-cost fire time relic. When you play a unit, sacrifice Caleb's Cloak to make that unit recruit. This card's sweet.
It's really weird. Don't play with Rat Cage.
Don't play Rat Cage.
I mean, you could, but there's no way you wouldn't have enough. You wouldn't have enough units to even draw the unit. So.
Played in a creation deck with Chief Investigator West.
Yeah, it's
That-
kind of weird.
Pretty good, I guess.
Kind of weird that you don't really want to play it on 2 because I mean you can. It still like draws a card, but
Mhm.
at best you play a 2-drop with it, and it's kind of whatever. It's like really good if you play it later, but then you have to play an extra text of 2 mana before you play a big unit, which makes like sequencing awkward. And of course the downside that it's a card for a recruit deck that isn't a unit. Like it's definitely not bad, but it has some downsides.
It's pretty cool with Sentinels that there's the 5-cost one that summons to return a relic from your discard pile to your hand, and then there's the spell that returns a Sentinel and a relic. And so just like rebuying Caleb's Cloak to draw you extra cards over and over again, or play units for free over and over again, seems pretty sweet.
This is also stick with Sentinels because I think Bond works well with this, right? If you bond a 6-drop in for free, you still get to recruit for 5, I think. I've tested it, but I assume it works like that.
That's interesting.
Hmm.
Very interesting.
Does
Neat.
Bond work with it? I'm not actually sure it would work.
This is worth
That's
testing. I
interesting.
think this card
Yeah,
is
that is worth
a very
testing.
cool build around.
Yeah, if you can bond that would be like a combo deck. Actually, that'd be pretty cool.
And Sentinel Bond was already like very fringe. It made the top 8 of one of the first present tournaments.
Was less than discard. Like I think it checks the cost on like the field, the way it's worded. Like if it costs less than discard, it doesn't really check the cost that you have paid, but the cost of the unit, and it should still be 6 if you like want a 6 drop in.
Yeah, I could definitely see it working for sure.
Okay, next we have Strip for Parts. It is a 2 fire time fast spell. Kill an enemy attachment with 3 cost or less, and or plane attachment with 3 or less cost from your void. I think this is very interesting because it is modal. It allows you to answer your opponent's attachments while also doing really tricky things. Like, I kind of want to play this in that same like Sentinel deck. Maybe the Sentinel deck plays the Excavator, the 4/3/3 that like mills you 5 and you draw a relic or a Sentinel from them. So then any of the things that you milled, if you milled like an Ancient Defenses, you can at fast speed bring the Ancient Defenses back from the discard pile into play and like shoot something.
So it is modal, but it's actually and/or, so you can do both.
Oh,
If they
it's
have
both?
a thing.
Oh,
Yeah, you can do
that's
both. So it's a
sweet.
2-for-1 if in the dream world.
That's
I think
great.
it's pretty cool if your deck wants to bring back cheap relics, because then it's really strong. Because then you get to like free roll this like relic hate card in your main deck.
Oh goodness. So this card with cannon, the amplify to deal damage, you just add instant speed. You put it into play, and then you amplify.
That's true. Yeah, you could deal damage to them. I guess it's kind of sweet.
This card would actually be really thick if it could also destroy your own relics in the deck that plays the 2 3-cost relics that want to be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like if you could just destroy like one of those, get a 8/8, and then immediately replay it.
Oh my god, yeah.
That would be crazy.
Fortunately, I think actually it can't kill your own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, for the enemy.
This also can get back the market relic that is a power rock, and
Oh,
then you can
coveted-
sacrifice it to
yeah,
coveted gemstone.
Gemstone, yeah. Also, like the natural combo with this is just relic weapons,
Yeah.
because those, you kill something and then you get them. There you go. Yeah, they put themselves in the void. Also, you can, if you can buff your cheap relic weapons and keep bringing them back with this is like a really good way to do it.
Chat would like us to know that you can put a Beast Caller's Amulet on a unit that isn't blocked.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah,
It's
I
attachment. Yeah, you can get unit weapons too, or curses. You can get curses back as well, or kill curses.
Yeah, this card's sweet. 10
Yeah.
10. Would play. This is right up my alley. Unfortunately, Stonebreaker Bow is no longer permanent. Otherwise, like this
Yeah.
would be the application for that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't understand the art. It looks like she's like putting honey in a wheel, but I don't know. Whatever.
It's
Doesn't
a
really
great
make
point.
sense
I have
to
no
me.
idea. Yeah, I don't know. Next we have Caravan Overseer, 3 fire time, 3/3 Explorer. Ultimate at the start of your turn, your units you play this turn get charged.
Bad. I just think that the Nagus Celerity, I think that's what it's called, is just
Yeah.
Generally, that's better. Yeah. Because
Oh,
Nagus
it's just,
Celerity also
like-
has Warp, right, or something.
It has scout.
Scout.
Oh, okay.
Scout.
I mean, the big difference is this gives everything in your hand charge for that one turn, and it's a free ultimate trigger. So if you're like trying to do some weird ultimate things, then that's something. But yeah, other than that, it's. I mean, it's a 3-drop, so if you could recruit into it, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it will probably just die most of the time before you do stuff in aggro. It's too slow, I think. And if you want
Yeah.
to do like weird charge unity, if you have a unit that really has to get charged, just play like Dagger or the 1-mana weapon. If you want to do some charge combo stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have Hive Bomber. It's a 5+ fire time, 3/1 civilian insect. These insects are just part of the city. They live the everyday life. They're the average bee kind, you know? It is Nomad 2, summon, deal 4 damage to an unit without flying.
I love this card.
This card,
It's so good.
So it's a 5
This is
mana,
very
3/1
strong.
Flame Tongue Kavu. Kills it.
5/3
Is
performance.
it good enough for Constructed though? Like, what Constructed deck wants this?
Recruit. It's a unit that is interaction. Like I think most recruit decks actually want this because you really need some interaction, and it's a unit that does it.
Sure. So like, even if you're not playing it for free, you're still drawing it to get
You
access
can
to
get
it.
it for free if you play a 6-drop recruit.
Yeah, if you play the Primal 6-drop, you can theoretically get it for free. That's like a really big high roll. It's like
Or you cloak a 6-drop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like pretty close to being, I don't know. It's cool. It's like it's really, really good in draft. It's like, yeah, it's like really good in draft. So it's like close. But doesn't kill flyers, I think, is a really big downside for Peasant. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Could be a market card.
I don't know.
Kind of cool to give decay to this, I guess.
Oh yeah, that sounds sweet. Yeah, I don't know. This card seems
Like,
it seems strong on its own, but it's one of those cards that like it doesn't fill a specific niche, and I think this format is a lot of like niche role fillers, and this is just a generically good card for the decks that just want a generically good card, and I don't know how many of those there are.
yeah, I mean, it is a 2-for-1, and it's a 5/3 blocker and a 3/1 attack flyer. So
But like it's a 5 cost dude that dies to a torch. Like this card does nothing against like the Skycrag decks, for example.
oh yeah, like this is
Any
a
kind
dead
of
card
control,
against
this is
control.
just dead.
Yeah, this is a dead card against control for sure. But yeah.
So I just don't. I'm hesitant being high on this card because I don't know where it would go and who would want it. So let's just move on to the next one, which is
Yeah.
Grabby Glider. It's a 2-cost fire primal 2/2 scroll. It does flying. When it hits an enemy player, you may devour 3 to kill an enemy attachment. Lord Perth tested it this morning. You cannot devour if you do not have a target. So if they don't have an attachment, then you don't get to remove cards from the discard pile. I still think it's a solid like body, like a 2/2 flying for 2 with a repeatable devour attachment removal is nice. It's also really nice if you put it in a Primal market if you're playing the blue grafter, because boy howdy, getting to Berserk devour 3 twice, destroy 2 enchantments is like Christmas land, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
I
a
think
squirrel, not a
it's-
beast.
Is that relevant
Oh
yet?
dear.
I don't know. They thought it was.
It's not a Deer Storm card.
I think it. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I just think it's fine. It's a very solid.
Yeah. We've got quite a lot of those from the set where like there's a lot of chat from the set too, but like there's a lot of this card exists in the same realm as Beetles from last set, where they are good cards that you're just happy putting in a deck, but because they're not that specific role like that you need to be filling, it could just be a different card that's also good.
Yeah, it's a flyer for suppression. It's a red flyer. It's like a mid-range card, I think, that has like a really hard, I don't know, that doesn't really want to play. Yeah, it's like just yeah, you need to want a flyer, like a
Yeah.
2-cost flyer for some reason, and then it's pretty good.
All right.
But yeah,
Next we have Lash Out, which is a 3 damage fast spell that deals 4 damage to an enemy unit. Is this just worse than Mortar? Like, I kind of just want to pay the extra 1 to be able to hit the face.
Just play Searing Fist instead.
There you go. Play Searing Fist or play Mortar?
I
Searing Fist, I think.
mean, yeah, probably.
Next we have Quillback Thrall, which is a 3-cost, 3/2 Berserk, Devour 2, it gets Quick Draw. So the thing it gets is pretty irrelevant. It has Devour 2. It's not terrible.
Oh yeah, you're...
Yeah. I think if there's an aggressive Skycrack deck, I could kind of see it, because like Quick Draw Berserk, if you can like semi-consistently get it on turn 3, there's a lot of damage potential, especially if you play like some ways to buff it.
There's just
I
so
mean, it
many
dies to a lot
berserks
of...
at 2 at this point.
It's just like Berserk Quick Draw is kind of a nice combination in an aggressive deck. The one thing it is dies like very easily, but I could still see it if there's an aggressive Skycrack deck. I'm not sure if there is though.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many berserk cards at 2 is my problem, that like, do we even need the 3-drop anymore?
And 1. There's a lot of 1-cost ones too. Yeah.
Next we have Thunderous Mishap, which is a 4-cost spell that deals 2 damage to an enemy and then recruits. This card just seems worse than a double stun, but it still seems fine.
They go in different decks. Like you can. This is. I think it's. You could still play this in an aggressive deck, but you could also play this in like a more mid-range recruit deck. It's just like a good value card.
You kind of need to consistently hit like a decently sized. Like if you just hit like a random 2-drop, just like, I don't know, 2/3/3 2 stats.
Yeah.
Worth, and it's kind of mid. But if you consistently hit, I'm not really sure what 3-drops you actually play in Skycrack. What's the thing about that?
So,
yeah, there's gotta be something, but yeah.
It probably doesn't see play, if I'm being honest.
I mean, yeah, you have to be unit heavy Skycrag. That's kind of weird.
Unit heavy Skycrag that wants a shock.
I mean, if you're unit heavy Skycrag, I think the card is good.
Alright.
It's like the fire bee thing kind of, but it costs 1 less, sort of.
Next we have Determination. It's 1 for a Justice in Time for a fast spell. Give a unit +2/+2 and you gain 2 life.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons to be Combre.
Yeah.
Life Force aggro. It's pretty good.
It's fast bullshit that you can do on your opponent's turn. It lets you react to things that are like burn, like torch main phase, so you can just be like, no. And then trigger the Life Force, bolster, etc. Seems fine. It's not like it's not stellar, but it's a role filler for making those hard choices of, do I still want to play Curtain Call or not?
Yeah, and it importantly it triggers bolster and Life Force before the damage is dealt, unlike the Shadow one that I think is probably a better card overall in a vacuum, but it has the one that gives quick draw and two attack and 1 health and life steal, or quick draw, whatever.
Spiteful Strike.
Yeah, because that will...
Yeah, that won't work with bolster that well.
Yeah.
Or some of them. It won't work with some of them. But yeah, this like makes your dudes bigger before damage, which is good.
All right, next we have Forging Kuwaka, which is a 2-cost 3/3 beast. As bolster, gets +2/+2 and overwhelm this turn.
If you can consistently trigger bolster on this is very strong.
Yeah.
2-cost consistent 5/5 overwhelm is very, very good.
I can see that for sure. I can see this being really good with like your paintings. In some cases, I can see this being very good with the quick draw one that we just talked about, the combat trick that, because the quick draw is dealing damage first, I assume that it's triggering bolster even in that case. No, it wouldn't trigger.
I mean,
like in the same way first strike works in Magic, where like quick draw lifesteal like hits, gains life, and then the bolster triggers, and then combat happens for everybody else. If I'm saying like you give the quick draw and lifesteal to not Kuwaka.
No. I don't think if
I mean, it's not going to deal more damage.
While the units battle, there are no trigger effects. Basically, a trigger would always happen after all units battle. Like if one of the other units, even if the other unit basically attacked first and had lifesteal, the Quokka would still only trigger after all units attacked and not
interesting.
While attacking is still happening.
Yeah, that's why this card is weird. It doesn't. It only works with specific cards. Yeah.
Okay. This card seems great still though.
Yeah, this is like the main reason why I was like, oh, maybe there's a Combrei Life Force aggro deck. Basically, is this guy.
This card seems quite a level player and makes it much harder. Like like we were talking about earlier, TJP is hard. No, TGS. Sorry, TGS is like hard mana wise, but I don't know if you'd prefer Combrei or Xenon. It's hard choices.
So TJS, the marks are centered on justice.
It's unfortunate.
Um,
So next we have Standard Inspection. Play a sigil of your choice from your deck. Gain 2 armor, and it is a 3-cost spell. So it triggers Bolster. It's good in a weapon armory style deck because it'll ramp you. Like the FTJ deck wants to play something like this.
It's also, if you want to, we talked about it with the Squirrel earlier, with the 6-drop Squirrel. If you want to play a Combrei ramp hybrid, like with Bolster synergy, then this is probably good in it, because like it ramps and it triggers Bolster, and you might also play some like relic weapons in there.
Sure.
That's the deck I could see it, but like in normal Combrei ramp, you have better options, like Enter the Monastery is probably still better than this. And there are other like 3-cost spells that ramp that are probably better. But if you want to have some Bolster synergies or relic weapons, then this seems good.
Yeah.
It is undepleted, so keep that in
Oh, yeah,
mind. For it's not like it's better than Secret Pages. Well, Secret Pages is fast, but yeah, you know.
Yeah, it seems solid. Seems like playable. I wouldn't
Yeah, it's
say
not
an all-star.
strong.
It just seems
Yeah.
like a card. It's an option.
You'll know if you want it, but I think maybe the 6/6 card that we were talking about earlier with Bolster draw card, that works, but you just know if you want it. Otherwise, you simply just
Yeah.
Next we have a card that when I read it, I didn't know how to evaluate it. 6-cost, Time Justice, Oni Valkyrie. First of all, what? It's a 4/4 with Nomad 4.
It is actually the second Oni Valkyrie. The Fire 4-drop 3/1 that recurred.
That's true.
Recursive
That's
Weapon
true.
Void is also.
Well, you see, that
Yeah.
one makes more sense than an Oni with B-Wings.
Oh yeah.
So
if we really think about it, right? Valkyries are just soldiers who are augmented with like
mechanical wings, right?
So-
mechanical wings.
Well,
This one has
originally
B-Wings.
in Argenport, yeah, they're mechanical wings. Yeah.
So in this scenario, I think that this should be an Oni insect. As for the card itself, I don't know like who wants this.
But
Does
Oni
anybody-
insect means it's riding an insect. That's what that
No,
means in the
no.
game. Yeah.
That's not what that means. If you're a civilian insect, you are an insect that is a civilian.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
You went to school like everybody else. You get a job. You are a part of the community. You're a civilian. You didn't go to war. First of all, that is very clear. You're a civilian.
Just wanna share your honey.
Yeah.
Drop your honey on loads of honey on them. Yeah.
Honey, I'm home. All right.
But yeah, it's a 8/8 on their turn, 4/4 on your turn. It's
Way
a
too
draft
expensive.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't play this in Peasant. I don't think.
Okay. Against the odds, 2 Justice Shadow. Give one of your units +2 attack. If it dies this turn, draw 8 from the void. This is so much worse than Magic.
Huh?
What I thought about
Yeah.
is like theoretically FGS Revenge, because the attack buff is permanent. Like if you put this on
Sure.
a Piercing Grief, it's a 5/1 permanently. If you put it on
Sure.
Stormfather Alchemist, that's like a 4/1 permanently.
And you draw
And
and you
if-
draw it. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you already went through the like Revenge for one time, you immediately get it back.
How do layers
you
Draw a
work?
card.
How do layers work when somebody defiles my Piercing Grief when this is on the Piercing Grief?
Oh god.
I think you have to test it. I have no clue how it works.
I'm guessing they get it, but I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to test it. I'm guessing they would get to steal it. but yeah.
Card's not great though.
Triggers are it is permanent. The buff is permanent.
Yeah, theoretically the JBS Renown deck could try it, but it's a
Yeah.
fringe card. I have some applications, but it's a fringe card.
I think Perth is right. I think you have to be doing revenge things with it,
Yeah.
or you're not doing it at all, and it's still like not clear that you want it there.
Yep.
But it's at least interesting.
Next we have Glory Seeker. It is 2 Justice Shadow, 2/3 Elf Warrior, Renown, Lifesteal. You know what
So
we
it's-
needed? We needed another Renown Lifesteal unit.
Well, it's like what is the 3/3?
Marksman, the one.
No, Bright Mace Paladin. It's a 2-cost Bright Mace Paladin. Think of it that way.
Is this a joke on Sarah Angel, like from Magic, where like we have Bold Adventurer as a 2-cost 2/3, and now Glory Seeker is like this 2-cost 2/3. But what if it was, Justice and Shadow?
I mean, it's a beating against an aggressive deck that can't kill it. Like you put a weapon on this, and they're just like, screw this game. Bright Mace Paladin.
The one faction pair that didn't need more go 2-drops is like Archenport. Archenport has so many go 2-drops, even if you cut a Minecraft out. You have the 3/3 with the contract effect, you have the new Norma 2-drop, you have Tinker, Overseer. There's just so many go 2-drops in Archenport.
Yeah.
Worst amount of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably
Next
not
we
it.
have Reinforced Reaper. It is a 3-cost Justice Shadow relic weapon with versatile. It is +3 attack, +3 armor. Summon, give an enemy unit -2 attack.
Yeah, I like this card.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
Yeah,
card's
it's
cool.
very good.
Like,
I think it just fits in every Archenport deck theoretically.
and it's permanent negative attack, which is very nice.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you give one attacker -2 attack, and then you kill the other one, or you just give something -2 attack and kill it for free, and so you 2 kills kind of.
Yeah.
It's real
It's
nice.
also versatile, so it triggers Renown in the Renown deck. You can get it back in Armory, you can search it in Armory. I think this card is insane actually.
Triggers bolster.
Yeah.
Trigger is bolt. Yeah, this card's pretty good. No complaints. Alright, so Warren Spy Mistress is 4 Justice Shadow for an 0/4 Endurance Unblockable Bolster +1 attack Rogue Soldier. Oh, this card's unplayable.
Nope. It's not even good in draft.
Alright.
It's like, yeah.
Alright. Information Warfare. 2 Primal Shadow. Spell. Give 2 of your units +1 attack and quick draw this turn. When they hit the enemy player this turn, draw a card. Could this be fast? Please and thank you.
No, it cannot. It'd be too good.
Can this be fast when it leaves draft?
No. No.
Like-
It's actually a pretty good card.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with the auto tread nerf, when you can only do this once, this slaps.
I mean, sure, yeah. If you do it on auto tread, it's really because you're getting. If both your units get in, you're drawing 2 cards for 2 mana and dealing 2 damage. Well, and also they may not want to chump.
There's a 3-cost card from 2 sets ago that says when you attack in tandem with 2 dudes, they both deal 1 damage to the opponent, right? It's a 3-drop 2/2.
Yeah. There's tandem set theme. Yeah.
Yeah, so this could work with the tandem stuff.
Yeah, you
Also-
could get extra value. Yeah.
Also already tried like TPS flyers like last set I think.
Yeah,
Because the
flyers.
influence is pretty free, especially with marks now. And you get some additional sweet cards, and you could play this in a deck. It's a bit more like if you already get a stick with flyers and your opponent doesn't have removal, you're already in a good spot anyway. But like drawing 2 extra cards, dealing 2 more damage is also nice.
Yeah.
Could be an option there.
And like if they chump, then like you're still killing their thing. Like if they don't have 1/1s, then like them chumping is either it's pushing. Even if you don't have flyers, I do think it's like especially good with flyers. But yeah, it just plays better than it seems. Is another one of my spoiler cards. I got 2 renowned spoilers.
So, card is solid.
Yeah.
Next,
Triggers
we
2
have,
renown.
Let Loose, which is 3 Justice, or sorry, Primal Shadow. It's a spell. One of your units hunts 3.
Let the cats out. Meow.
I don't think this is good enough for
Alright.
Peasant.
It
It's a
was
cool draft card.
it was good enough to read out just so that Apple Chips could do that. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a giant cat on it. Yeah.
Now that the cat's out of the bag, let's move on.
Yeah. Hey, it's 3 cards. Hunting 3 is a lot. All right.
You mean hunting 6?
Huh?
Devour 6? Hunting 3.
What?
Oh, right. You're talking about the last pass card. I think that card's
Yeah.
good.
It's
So
great.
3 for a. This is Ranger's Ruin. 3 for a Primal Shadow card. 3/2 flying. Devour 6. Kill an enemy unit. This card does some sweet things.
That's crazy.
Sweet.
This card's just crazy, I think. Like 3 mana 3/2 flyer is already like borderline. You can just like kind of play this in Peasant. And like the Devour effect is so good. And Fail is also like one of the best factions to trigger it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And like this is an easy market card if you're like the thing about Devour is you can just put it in the market. This is a great one to put in the market because it's actually like worth it.
Yeah, this card
And it's
is
also,
pretty good.
if there's a TPS Emerald's Machinations deck, this is like the busted feature.
Oh, God.
In the
You
mirror,
bring this
especially
back.
like.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, sweet.
Alright. Next up we have Skullhaven Duo, which is a 3-cost Primal Shadow 1/4 Renown +4 attack. That's a pretty good get.
3 mana. How good is a 3 mana 5/4? Like vanilla. No work. Okay.
Fine, it's just not exciting.
Yeah, it's like Dies of Searing Fist.
But what, I
Interesting.
suppose, like, if you can put a weapon on it, then it won't dice.
Yeah.
There's also the high roll of Generosity. Like,
Oh
split
yeah.
Generosity and this. It's like 12
Let's kill
attack.
him.
12 attack is that, yeah.
And then you what's it called? You gift to battle it. It deals what is that? It's 9, 10. It's 20 damage. 20 damage. Right? 20 damage.
It gets +4 attack, right? Renown. Like,
Oh, is it plus?
Generosity,
Oh, wait. It's 22 then, right?
It gets +8 from the Renown, +3 from Generosity, so it's 12 attack, and then you Berserk for 24 damage.
Oh, 24.
simple.
Wow. Yeah. Almost there. All right, you do what's it called? The urge to feed first, and then yeah, it's fine. Well, not first, but you know what I mean. You do that too. You just fit that in there.
Alright.
I don't know.
Next we have Listia's Choice, which is 3 for Fire, Time, and Justice for a fast spell. Deal 4 damage to an enemy unit, or shuffle a void of your choice into its owner's deck, then draw a card, or give one of your units +1/+1 on Aegis. This is the display that I wanted.
Yeah.
This is a very good card.
I could. All 3 modes are solid. They're not necessarily the most powerful, but I like mono cards where you do modes. So yeah. I mean, no. I just don't really necessarily know where this will go. I'm sure
Yeah.
Alex Figueroa has some kind of like 5-faction. All displays and choices.
Yeah, I'm sure Alex Fio could slot this into his deck somewhere.
Yeah.
Overall, I could seeing play just in general. It's a removal spell that also saves your unit from removal.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know,
Devour
bugs me.
does give you a window, so like if they go to Devour 6, you're just like, nope, shuffle it back in.
Yeah, you can do your own void. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a weird mid-range card. I don't think you can play this in an aggressive deck. Like, I think it's not good
Yeah,
enough,
sure.
and like you also don't want to run that many spells in your aggressive decks if you're doing recruit as well. But
That's fair.
yeah, so. But it is a pretty. It does. Yeah, it's pretty good utility for like a mid-range deck, or I guess a control deck. Although the Aegis part sucks in a control deck, but the other two are still pretty good.
Yeah. Alright.
Oh, baby.
Next we
Looking
have the real Golden
psycho.
Child. Queen Guard
Yeah.
Elite is a 3 for a Fire, Time, Justice, 3/2, Warrior Insect, Charge, Endurance, and Nomad 2. Lightning Angel, anyone?
It's
Rider, right?
Mantis Rider,
Mantis
but
Rider.
better.
Ah,
No, it's B
that
Rider.
is so good.
Yeah, it's
So
real
good.
good.
It's so
Is it-
narrow because it's 3 factions, but it's so good.
I
Yeah.
think we're gonna see almost splash time in Hero of the People for this, because this is like
Oh
pretty
my
bad
god.
mistakes, right?
uh,
And it's just
Well-
like,
oh my god.
it also makes Torch actually weaker because it's like a 4 health unit on your turn, so you have to maybe think about playing 4 damage removal if you really expect people to bring FT out a lot. Or like
Yeah.
fast speed removal that deals
Or
2
like
3 damage.
ignite
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, people are going to start playing Searing Fist more and more, I'm sure. Because of
Or
cards like
chemical
this.
rounds. Chemical rounds actually works, I think, because it's decay.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah,
is
Chem
that-
rounds still works. Yeah.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. So it's like what is that 2-drop? The Inscribe 2-drop. The monk.
Oh, okay.
That void.
So
yeah.
it doesn't work like a +3/+3 from a Finest Hour?
No, so yeah, like it decays it, so it has 2 less health, and then like once this like that decay stuff stays, and then once this it's not their turn anymore, this goes back to a 3/2, but then it has 0 health and it dies.
Huh.
Yeah.
Does it work the same way the Finest Hour? Because I recall it being different, maybe I'm wrong.
Finest Hour?
Or like
No,
if
yeah,
I
it doesn't.
Finest Hour my dude and then you decay -2/2, it goes from being like a 5/5 to a 3/3, and then it'll go back to being a 2/2 at the end of turn.
So if you Finest Hour, like, so if you have a 2/2 and then I Chem rounds your 2/2 and you Finest Hour in response, it'll survive that turn, and then once the Finest Hour buff goes away, it'll die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Alright, next
So
we
it does
have-
work. It does work the same as Finest Hour. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Next we have Caravan Draft Beast, which is another Draft Beast. It does the thing with the stockpiles.
Yeah, 4/6 charge. Yep, we talked about them.
Next we
I
have
think that-
Phineas's Choice, which is a 3-cost Fire Time Primal card. You get +4 power this turn, bad. Your units get +1/+1, medium. Or play a Permafrost on an attacking unit. This card is not the Genev Choice. Display of
Instinct.
Yeah, this card is not that. This card is very medium.
I mean, it's Power Burst and like Orencon. Well, no, it's what is the card? Oh no, I can't remember the card. It's like a Justice. It's the Haru one that kills like an attacking enemy unit. Yeah.
Aura combination.
Why is this color combination? Why is it not the JPS one?
I think it's the buffs. Like, time.
It's muster. It's fast speed muster. You have to love it.
That's true. It is mustard.
Yeah, but,
Which
but
the
only on
JPS
taking
would
the-
want anyway because the muster deck is JPS.
There you go. I mean, yeah. That is
Like,
some
fast
Elysian muster.
speed- Fast speed, your units get +1/+1 permanently. I think is pretty solid. Like
Oh, is it permanent?
single.
That's way more
Yeah,
exciting.
it's permanent. Yeah,
Oh, that's way more exciting.
but
I like that a lot.
that's like the
I feel
best
like
mode
that's
on it.
the- Yeah. Because my gripe with this card is if you want to, I'm discounting mode 1 and turn. If you want to play mode 2, I don't know how often you'll end up playing mode 3 because there's sort of like two different styles and strategies. Unless there's there's a very specific nomad unit, I guess, that you want to permafrost on. But I just don't see where I put this. Also, because it's not a unit, like the natural fit is recruit deck because it's not a unit. That lowers your unit count. So do you even really want to put it there? Not sure.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Display of Knowledge in that Display of Knowledge also kind of only had two modes, and like you used it to get a relic most of the time, but then sometimes you would use it as a removal spell. It's kind of like that. Like
Yeah.
it's going to be like an anthem. You're gonna build your deck to be an anthem at instant speed that's permanent, but then sometimes you're just gonna when you're racing, you're gonna like kill their big lock down their big thing, and it won't be great, but it'll get the job done.
Yep. Next we have a 3-cost 4/4 with Valor, and
Yep.
that is a card.
Yeah.
That is our card I want to recruit into.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with the Queen Guard as well. Yeah.
Queen Guard again. I don't know how much I actually value Wildfire Keeper, but maybe a 3-cost 4/4 is where you want to be. It's just if we have those at 2 color combinations, I don't know why I would have the 3rd color for this.
Well, this is Valor, and I think 3 faction it means significantly less now than it used to. The marks are truly broken, and I think I think you can just play 3 factions like pretty easily if you think the card is good in your deck. It's
Maybe.
like really free, pretty much.
Next we have another Draft Beast, and then followed by what is probably the best card in the set, One Eye's Choice. This is a 2 best peasant card in the set.
No, I'm
Still
not
know
sure.
about
I'm
that?
not sure I agree with that. Yeah,
So
I don't know if I
2
agree.
cost for a fast spell that has the choices of kill an enemy attachment, or kill an enemy attachment on an enemy specifically,
Yes.
or give one of your units killer and overwhelm, or draw a non-hero unit from your void. It gets +2/+1 permanently. This card just like, why does this card cost 2 when the first one costs 4? I don't understand. This card
Yeah.
has stupid good modes, and it's 2.
It
And
is
then-
much better. Oh, sorry.
Well, and I was going to say, and the other one costs 4 and has bad modes. So I don't understand what world we live in where this is the case.
Well, the 4-cost one is at least a 2-for-1.
I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird card, and it's not great, but this one is better in Peasant for sure because all the units like it makes every unit bigger because there are no heroes in Peasant that they don't exist.
There are like 7 units in Peasant, and I've
Yeah.
definitely made a Peasant deck, or a Peasant hero deck. But like, the hero or killer overwhelm thing is very good in a lot of ways, and it's good when you're recurring units as well. So like, this is good in
Yeah, for
combination
sure.
with the, what is that card called? Where you reanimate a card and give it blitz and flying.
Scream?
Yeah, Haunting Scream. It seems very good with Haunting Scream.
It's also just neat that the first copy makes the second copy better. Like you give a unit killer an overwhelm and then you draw the second copy and can get your killer unit back.
And since colors don't matter anymore, you just play this alongside Display of Ambition, and just have a good old time.
Yeah, you can also give killer to the revenge units with
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Which is neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too for sure. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like you could main deck it. You need to want the Dark Return mode.
Which
Uh,
that deck already does want the Dark Return mode, especially a fast Dark Return
Yeah.
mode is like really
Yeah.
good.
yeah. So you could potentially splash blue. Pretty.
I mean,
I could
I
see
was
that.
already splashing blue for
Yeah, you were.
for the what is it called? The Tomb of the Azure Mage, because you could loot faster into your stuff.
Yeah.
It's also, even in decks that don't want recursion mode, it's like a decent market card as just attachment 8. Because like I don't think, for example, the Primal market in FPS, if you want to play like Primal market FPS for some reason, has like a better predicate than this.
That's true.
All right. Card's great. Card's going to fit in a ton of decks, and will probably be a format staple. Next, we have Malevolent Constrictor, which is a 3-cost 3/4 Serpent with Overwhelm, Devour 3, Drain 3. This little Siege Rhino is pretty solid.
Yep.
Also
been
triggers
playing-
Frenzy, which is actually relevant in this color combination.
Yeah. You go. Oh God, what is her name? Valnadept, and then you go into this. I mean, it's pretty hard for you to curve with this.
Also Stone
But-
Scar Adept. It's pretty easy when you go turn 1 Vines into
Sure, yeah.
turn
You-
2
Oh,
Vow.
Just-
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
discard power.
Vines Val, that's a sick curve. Yeah, for sure. And this card, you definitely want to play Vines with this card. I think.
Yeah. You're playing like
It's
Felon
just too
Adept,
good.
you're playing maybe Stone Scar Adept, I don't even know. I love Stone Scar Adept. Card's great.
Guns card. Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah. It's part of that cycle. All of them. Spoiler. All of them are pretty good,
Yeah, all of this cycle of 3 drops is pretty good.
and they're pretty good recruit hits.
Got another Draft Beast. We have Fierro's Choice, which is a card. It's a 2-cost fast spell that gives you 3 choices. Units in your hand get +1/+1 permanently. Give an enemy unit -3 attack permanently, or deal 2 damage to the enemy player and you gain 2 life permanently. I just want to say permanently, you just gain 2 life until you lose it. This card's
trigger.
This card's fine. It is a bolster trigger.
I think you would play it in bolster TJS probably,
Sure.
but not. I wouldn't play it outside of that.
The boss trigger is so bad though, like
It's,
only targeting enemy player. If it could kill units, I could see it, but
it's not great. Like it's,
Well, yeah, it's not great. It's more like you're not primarily using it for that. It's more that I think the primary mode is the -3 attack mode.
then that's
So it's
really
like
bad.
a permanent. No, it's permanent. It's not that bad. It's like a fast speed. It's like a
So,
fast speed
if-
curse.
If I
that-
would like to play this kind of effect, I think I'd rather have the display, because I can still trigger bolster at instant speed by grabbing a waystone or a what do they call it, the paintings.
Painting.
So
yeah.
like you get to ramp, you get to wrath an enemy's board if they're playing X1s. That's just way better than this. This card is not amazing.
I mean, it's true that card is better than this card.
I just don't see playing it, to be honest. Like, I never want to actually play the first mode, because if I do, I'd rather just play the one that gives Overwhelm. The second mode is fine, but like,
Well, it's a
not-
fast speed bolster card.
Sure.
That's like, and then when you're doing that, then it'll do more than like a card, like in those specific spots. That's the only reason I think it is unplayable outside of that,
Yeah, I
because
think it's
then
pretty unplayable.
you just don't. It just doesn't do enough, like for one card. But yeah, I don't know.
Next, we have Mistral Spy, which is a 3-cost, 3/3 flying deadly lifesteal Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Card is quite good.
weird that it's time
It,
Valkyrie, but
look, you'll take it. Colors don't matter anymore, Apple Chips. You'll just play
I
whatever
guess
you
so.
can play.
Yeah, I guess they don't matter. I mean, they matter for insignia. But that's it.
Oh no.
But yeah, that's true.
But yeah, this card's sweet. This card is very good. Like, we played Vampire Nighthawk to death when it was in Standard and Cube, etc. So this being one more power than Nighthawk is pretty good.
Yeah, like this is better than Deathwing.
And I believe that is it. A cute little war and draft pieces last spring this set.
Oh yeah, we did the trader first. Yeah, that is it.
Sorry, just going back to the spy, I think
Yep.
definitely is nice because you can play it both JS and JS.
Yes.
Yes, spy also has the Valkyrie text, but because most of the support for like Valkyries and weapons, etc., is in fire rather than time. So I think spy is a solid unit if we are planning to just